Good morning, everyone. We will now call to order the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors meeting for Tuesday, May 12th. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Supervisor Kennedy?
Here.
Supervisor Desmond? Here. Supervisor Hume?
Here.
Supervisor Cerna?
Here.
And Chair Rodriguez.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Will the clerk please read the Metro statement?
This meeting of the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors is live and recorded with closed captioning. It is cablecast on Metro Cable Channel 14, the local government affairs channel, and on the Comcast and DirecTV U-verse cable systems. It is also live streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays Friday, May 15th at 6 o'clock p.m. on Metro Cable Channel 14. Once posted, the recording of this meeting can be viewed on demand at youtube.com/MetroCable14. The Board of Supervisors fosters public engagement during the meeting and encourages public participation, civility, and the use of courteous language. The Board does not condone the use of profanity, vulgar language, gestures, or other inappropriate behavior, including personal attacks or threats directed towards any meeting participant. Seating is limited and available on a first-come, first-served basis. Each speaker will be given 2 minutes to make public comment and are limited to making one comment per off-agenda item. Please be mindful of the public comment procedures to avoid being interrupted while making your comment. Comments made by the public during the Board of Supervisors meetings may include information that could be inaccurate or misleading, particularly concerning topics related to public health, voter registrations, and elections. The County of Sacramento does not endorse or validate the accuracy of public statements made during these open public forums. The recordings are shared to provide transparency and access to the proceedings of public meetings. To make a comment in person, please fill out a speaker request form and hand it to clerk staff. The chairperson will open public comments for each off-agenda item and direct the clerk to call the name of each speaker. When the clerk calls your name, please come to the podium and make your comment. If a speaker is unavailable to make a comment prior to the closing of public comments, the speaker waives their request to speak and the clerk will file the speaker request form in the record. The clerk will manage the timer and allow each speaker 2 minutes to make a comment. Off-agenda public comments will take place for a maximum of 30 minutes. The remainder of agenda comments will take place at the conclusion of the time matters in the afternoon. As a reminder, Rule of Procedure 10B allows the chair to establish uniform time limits for people addressing the board in relation to a particular matter. Such limits may be announced at the beginning of each matter posted on the agenda and can include a setting of a specific amount of time devoted to public comment for a particular item, announcing cutoff times for receipt of request to speak forms, reducing the amount of time per speaker, or other reasonable and content-neutral measures. You may send written comments by email to boardclerk@saccounty.gov. Your comment will be routed to the board and filed in the record. If you need an accommodation pursuant to the Americans with Disability Act or for medical or other reasons, please see clerk staff for assistance or contact the clerk's office at area code 916-874-5451 or by email at boardclerk@saccounty.gov. Thank you in advance for your courtesy and understanding of the meeting procedures.
Thank you. Supervisor Cerna, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any announcements?
Yes, I would like to announce there was an addendum item added to this agenda today. That was item 1 on the addendum, Sacramento County Board of Supervisors, Supervisor Hume of the 5th Supervisoral District traveled to Washington, D.C. on April 17th through 22nd for the Sacramento Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce 2026 Cap-to-Cap Annual Conference. So that has been added as an addendum item. I also have an item here that the applicant has requested be continued to July 14th, and that is the Quick Quack Car Wash item, which is number 52 on our agenda. Quick Quack Car Wash 6717 Fair Oaks Boulevard, a use permit, special development permit, and design review for a property located at 6717 Fair Oaks Boulevard. And we would need a motion to continue that item to July 14th.
I'll second. All right, please vote.
And Supervisor Hume? Thank you. And that item is continued by a vote 5-0, all members present. Thank you. And those were all the announcements I had.
Great, thank you. And with that, we will start with the first item.
All right. Item 1 on our agenda today under presentations, Fergus Award of Appreciation for Contributions to Animal Services by Robert W. Steger.
Is Mr. Jamerson here? Right here. Would you like to join us? For the record, he is not up for adoption. Though for the right price. So at the February 24th Board of Supervisors meeting, the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors formally approved a generous $359,823.44 donation to Sacramento County Bradshaw Animal Shelter from the estate of Robert W. Steger. Is it Steger? Steger, thank you very much. This transformative gift will directly support life-saving care for animals in our community. The Sacramento County Bradshaw Animal Shelter is a beneficiary of the estate of Mr. Steger's trust, established on March 28, 2003, and restated October 28, 2022. Robert W. Steger passed away in August of 2025. Mr. Steger was born September 13, 1938, in Nevada City, California. He graduated from Nevada City High School in 1955 and subsequently served in the Army. After his military service, he graduated from Sacramento State in 1970 with a degree in real estate appraisal. He worked as a real estate appraiser for the state of California for many years and lived in downtown Sacramento from 1974 until his passing in 2025. During his time in Sacramento, he purchased, rented, and renovated properties in the fabulous 40s area of Sacramento. Upon his death, he donated over 95% of his assets to charity, including the Bradshaw Animal Shelter and the Sacramento SPCA, both of which were organizations he had adopted animals from in the past. Mr. Steger was a devoted cat and dog lover whose generosity reflected his deep compassion for animals. Through his extraordinary bequest, his legacy will continue to make a lasting difference for thousands of pets and the families who love them. Annette, would you join me? I invited Annette here today to talk about what the difference that this great award could make.
Thank you, Supervisor Kennedy, and thank you. On behalf of Bradshaw Animal Shelter, I want to extend our heartfelt gratitude for this extraordinary gift of $360,000. The level of generosity will transform our animals and families in Sacramento County. This contribution will expand our services for spay and neuter initiatives, which is so desirable in this community. Your investment becomes life-saving, second chances, and also brighter futures. So we are deeply honored by your support, and thank you so much.
Welcome.
So without further ado, I would like to present the 2026 Fergus Award in appreciation and recognition of the estate of Robert W. Steger for exemplary service supporting Sacramento County animals. There you go.
Got a little more comfort.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Could be our therapy dog. Let him run around up here. All right, next item, please.
The second item on our agenda, number 2, presentation of resolution proclaiming May 2026 as Affordable Housing Month.
Here we go. No dog? Thank you, Chair and members of the board. As you know, we are proclaiming May 2026 as Affordable Housing Month. For all of the good work that's being done in this community, with all the good work that's being done by this county, it's still important that we point out that affordable housing is still highly in need in Sacramento County. We recently, at the point in time count, which will be announced and talked about later this week, it was stated by most people interviewed, or a majority of people interviewed, that their lack of housing was directly because of the fact that there was no affordable housing available. And we have to recognize this. For Sacramento to really address homelessness and the needs of those who are right on the cusp, and to prevent homelessness, we have got to emphasize more affordable housing. More housing in general, the continuum of housing from affordable to market rate is vitally important. So we take this time to remind ourselves as a community the importance of affordable housing by presenting this award, this resolution. Would you like to say?
Good morning, Chair Rodriguez, Supervisor Kennedy, and the board. My name is Julio Lamas, and I'm honored to accept this resolution on behalf of the Sacramento Housing Alliance. Thank you for proclaiming May as Affordable Housing Month and your continued leadership, recognizing that housing is fundamental to health, economic stability, and to strengthen our communities. As this resolution makes clear, we are at a critical point. Rising costs and limited supply of housing put safe, stable housing out of reach for far too many residents, which includes seniors on fixed incomes, working families, young people just starting out, and individuals with disabilities. And we see the consequences every day in the form of displacement, overcrowding, and homelessness. But we know what works. As Supervisor Kennedy mentioned, affordable housing, especially when paired with supportive services, it creates stability and health outcomes that strengthen neighborhoods, saves public resources over the long term. And it's not just a good social cause, it's sound policy and an investment in our future. For more than 35 years, the Sacramento Housing Alliance has worked alongside partners across the region to advance practical solutions, including the increase in housing production, preserving existing affordable housing, and advocating for policies that ensure everyone has a fair chance to stable housing. We're grateful for the county's commitment and that is reflected in this resolution, and we look forward to continuing to partner with you. Because at the end of the day, housing is not just about buildings, it's about people. It's about dignity, and it's about making sure Sacramento County is a place where everyone has an opportunity to thrive. Thank you again for your leadership and your recognition. Thank you.
Supervisor Kennedy, I just want to make a comment. I just want to personally thank you for bringing this issue to the forefront for discussion, because this is something that we need to continue to talk about and let the members of the public and let our communities know that one of the greatest needs we have right now is affordable housing, and to be able to create that for a region that is really growing and is becoming more expensive, and it is pushing people who have grown up in this area out of the Sacramento County, because it is becoming more unaffordable as time goes on. So I just want to thank you, Supervisor Kennedy, for bringing this for a discussion, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Chair.
All right. Next item, please.
Item 3 is presentation of resolution recognizing the 50th anniversary of UMEAN in America.
Good morning, Chair Rosario Rodriguez and honorable members of the board. Thank you for your time today. My name is Sue Saley. I am actually a Human Services Program Manager with the Department of Human Assistance. But today my role is to introduce the speakers for the UMEAN 50th anniversary celebration. I have with me Tan, Teresa Chow, and Sensei Turn. So they will be going over a little bit of information on our community and what we are celebrating about on May 23rd. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Good morning.
Good morning.
Chair Rosario Rodriguez, honorable members of the board. My name is Teresa. I'm a union community advocate here in Sacramento. I had an opportunity to work for Supervisor Pat Hume as a temp. It's great to see you all again. Thank you for your support in issuing the county resolution recognizing the Union 50th year in America. It truly means a lot to our union community, and we deeply appreciate your commitment to inclusivity and representation at the county level. Up the slide up there, Union 50th anniversary celebration, honoring our journey and celebrating our legacy. Our goals and objectives: foster unity among Union across generations and across states, celebrate community achievement, and honor the pioneers who paved the way. Preserve and promote Union culture, language, and traditions through performances, exhibits, and storytelling. Inspire future generations to move forward with our shared identity and values. Extend an open invitation for all to join in this collective celebration and reflection. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sensei Turn. 50 years ago, 50,000 Yumian war refugees fled Southeast Asia. Many of us found homes in Sacramento, California, some in Washington, Oregon, and other states. Sacramento is home to America's largest Yumian population, but we are not a well-known people. It has been 50 years since the Yumian tribe forged ahead in our journey as Yumian Americans. To commemorate our journey, we will be hosting a monumental gathering. During our gathering, we will celebrate the achievements of Mian Americans, Mian people who chose higher education, Mian people in public service, Mian elders who persevered as strawberry farmers, Mian artists, and Mian people who found meaningful careers. There weren't many opportunities in the war-torn countries that we left behind. So we gathered to see each other, to share our stories of what we found in this American life, and see that we did not take it for granted. We will have special guest speakers sharing their stories at the stage. We will make space for the elders to showcase and practice their traditions so that the youth can witness their heritage. Donning traditional attire, they will sing folk songs and tell stories about their journey to America and their struggles in rebuilding a new life. They are stories that remind us of both what makes us Mian and what makes us American. We also have a team of Mian storytellers and historians that will put on a history exhibit. It aims to tell an accurate story of the Yumian tribe that records centuries of migration in China and Southeast Asia, leading up to the resettlement in America and into the future that we are building for our Mian American youth. Our tribe has always struggled with low visibility and representation wherever we are. Gatherings and acknowledgments like these show our youth that we matter, that our heritage matters, and that our journey to become American citizens matters. From this 50-year mark and moving forward, Mian gatherings in America will emphasize the passing of the torch. When we gather, we are now seeing that being Mian American can also mean being multiracial and multicultural. We want to show our youth that being Mian American is not just about speaking the same language, having the same skin tone, or practicing the same religion. Being Mian American means recognizing the sacrifices of our ancestors and elders and building a life with dignity for which we can be proud of. But when we pass that torch, it will be up to our youth to decide what it means to be Mian American. And so we will gather to set a good example. On behalf of the Yumian tribe and Yumian Americans, I'd like to thank the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors in helping us keep our legacy alive for us and for our youth.
Good morning. My name is Tan Tang. I am actually a family nurse practitioner, school nurse, work for the school district, and I'm also a proud co-chair of this 50th event, hosting and presenting this event for all of us U.S. Mian people, and we also invited our Mian families from Thailand, China, Canada, and France that will be joining us in this huge event. So we want to thank you all for giving us this opportunity and creating this visibility for us. We hope that you all can attend and join us on May 23rd, 2026 from 9 to 5 at Hiram Johnson High School. Our community, as Teresa shared, there's 50,000 of all of us here in the U.S., the largest population here in Sacramento. The community consists of the 12 clan. As you can see, we have the Say Chow, Say Chin, Say Chu, Say Law, Say Lee, Say Leo, Say Fong, Say Pan, Say Seal, Say Turn, Say Vang, and Say Yang. All of us will be celebrating, honoring our past, celebrating our present, and embracing our future. And we hope you all can attend and join us. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for being here to share a little bit about your culture and your heritage. Okay. Thank you. All right, next item, please.
Item 4 on the agenda, presentation of resolution recognizing the Sacramento Metro Chamber of Commerce for National Small Business Week, May 3rd through May 9th, 2026.
Good morning, everyone. It is my honor at the end of Small Business Week, which ended on May 9th, to celebrate the Sac Metro Chamber of Commerce for all the work that they have done. In this resolution, we speak about the Sac Metro Chamber of Commerce has served as a leading advocate for the business community across the Capital Region since its founding in 1895, making it the oldest and most established voice for business in the region. In alignment with this mission to advance regional economic prosperity and enhance the quality of life across the Capital Region, the Sac Metro Chamber works to strengthen the business environment through advocacy, collaboration, and leadership. The Sac Metro Chamber represents approximately 2,000 member businesses in all sizes and sectors, advancing a strong, inclusive, and competitive regional economy. Over its 131-year history, the Sac Metro Chamber has been a consistent and effective advocate for policies that strengthen the Capital Region's economic foundation, protect its fiscal health, improve its infrastructure, and enhance the quality of life for all those who live and work here. The Sac Metro Chamber provides meaningful opportunities for businesses to engage in public policy discussions through its committees and regional advocacy efforts. For 54 years now, the Sac Metro Chamber Capital to Capital program has carried the Capital Region's priorities directly to federal officials in Washington, D.C., representing the largest and longest-standing chamber federal advocacy delegation of its kind in the nation. The Chamber plays an important role in fostering an inclusive and resilient regional economy by supporting diverse entrepreneurs and promoting broad-based economic opportunity throughout the Capital Region. Through its foundation, the Leadership Development Initiatives, the Sac Metro Chamber has invested in building the next generation of Capital Region civic and business leaders, strengthening the regional talent pipeline, and fostering a culture of community engagement and giving. The Sac Metro Chamber continues to grow its membership, expand its programs, and deepen its impact across the Capital Region, reflecting an unwavering commitment to the region's prosperity and vitality. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Sacramento County, the state of California, hereby recognize and commends the Sac Metro Chamber of Commerce for 131 years of dedicated service, advocacy, and leadership on behalf of the Capital Region's business community, honoring its extraordinary contribution to the economic strength, civic life, and lasting prosperity of the region and Sacramento County. Under Robert's leadership, the Sac Metro Chamber has focused on building a modern, mission-focused organization. He has strengthened the organization financially while simultaneously expanding programs, advocacy efforts, and regional influence, positioning the organization for long-term impact and sustainability. So, Robert, I just want to share my own personal experience with you. You are exactly what the business community needs in its leadership, because as we are about to embark on probably one of the most challenging times in next month with our budget, it is now the time that we lean into the business organizations that support our business community, because small businesses truly are the backbone of our communities. If the business community is strong, we here are strong because we benefit from the vibrant economic times. When times are challenging, we feel it here. And so now is a time for us to really lean into the Sacramento Chamber, GSAC, the Downtown Partnership, Region Business, all of our chambers. And there was one more. And of course, one that I have that's very dear to me is the county's economic development team, who, under Crystal's leadership, do an outstanding job connecting to business and providing them with the support they need to be able to have somewhere to go when they need support, somewhere to go when they don't know what to do or if they encounter challenges. So, as I mentioned, when our business community is strong, we're strong. If we ultimately want our businesses to be strong, because those support the general fund services here on the back end. And so I want to personally thank you and your team for just the outstanding work that you guys did. This year's Cap to Cap was just so impressive. It was very engaging. It was so vibrant, and coming back from the trip just really re-energized just me personally to really support our business communities so that we could have not just a stronger sales tax, but because we want to support our small businesses. Any words you want to share?
Sure, thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Supervisor Rosario Rodriguez, as well as all of the supervisors. Thank you very much for this honor. David, thank you to you, your entire leadership team, and everyone that works on the county on behalf of the chamber. You know, when we got the call, this was really special because I think you all know over the last 2 years, we've gone through a major transformation at the chamber, as you mentioned, in terms of our financial turnaround, our member support, our advocacy for business. And so what we usually do is we're focused with putting the spotlight on business and community and our elected officials. And today you've turned that spotlight around and you've put it on the very folks right here behind me that are the heart and soul, making sure that we're working on a regional economy every single day. So on behalf of the Metro Chamber Board of Directors, our chamber team, all of the volunteers that commit their time and energy into this, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. This means the world to me. It's the first proclamation we've received since I took over the chamber, so it'll be my most special one on behalf of the organization. And as you mentioned, the press release will actually go out later this month, so you had some breaking news here. We are over 2,000 members strong as a Metro Chamber, and that's very proud for us to support and show businesses that we're here every single day. You mentioned our advocacy trip to D.C. When you have nearly 500 people that travel back, and thank you to Supervisor Hume for being an honorary chair, and I know others of you have served in that capacity with us, that allows us the ability to speak with one voice for 6 counties and 22 cities and bring home millions of dollars and partner with our federal elected officials to support the work of David and his team so that we can bring those dollars home to impact the quality of life of the residents. Those are the people, the human capital that support the small business. So thank you very much. I'm honored on behalf of the Metro Chamber, and Ariel probably has a few words. Ariel is our board chair this year, so I want to be brief so that Ariel has an opportunity to say a few words.
You can say more. You can say more. Thank you. Thank you for the honor. And I'm very proud to be the chair. We've done some tremendous work here, but I will say, on a personal note, I am a daughter of a mom who had a restaurant and 7 kids. She didn't know capital was available to her. She grew her restaurant, and she did a great job. We're very proud of that. So when it comes to local businesses and small businesses, I will tell you, I'm so honored to be able to work with the chamber because their genuine commitment to small business and growing our regional economy, it's intoxicating. You want to do more because you know that when you're helping small businesses in our community, you're helping people of every race, every gender, people who knew that capital was available to them, people who did not know that capital was available to them. It is the way to give back. And when businesses help each other and they support each other, our entire community thrives. So the recognition is incredibly meaningful. More than that, I think it really does help our entire community, and it lifts up this team behind us that is doing everything they can every day to try to help the businesses. So thank you so much.
So I would love to invite your whole entire team here and my colleagues and David to take a group photo.
I love it. We're all about the group.
I'm just going to do it from right here because I can get it. Yep. Big group. Okay. There we go. Okay. All right. 1, 2. Thank you. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more.
All right, next item, please.
Item 5 on our agenda is presentation of resolution recognizing Mental Health Awareness Month, May 2026.
All right. Good morning, Chair and board members. My name is Ryan Quist, Behavioral Health Director for Sacramento County. Thank you for the opportunity to bring forward this resolution this morning. Each year, May is recognized nationally as Mental Health Awareness Month, a tradition dating back to 1949. This month serves as a powerful reminder that mental health is essential to overall health, and that seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness. Here in Sacramento County, we continue our strong commitment to supporting mental and emotional well-being of all of our residents. Mental health conditions affect people of every age, background, and community. 1 in 5 adults will experience a diagnosable mental health condition in their lifetime, yet many do not seek help because of stigma, fear, or lack of understanding. This May, we're joining partners across the state to elevate awareness, reduce stigma, and promote resources available to our community. Through initiatives like our historic Stop Stigma Sacramento, our Speakers Bureau, and community outreach events, we are amplifying the message that help is available, recovery is possible, and no one has to face mental health challenges alone. We're also highlighting the work of our behavioral health services teams and partner organizations who provide vital prevention, treatment, crisis response, and recovery services every day. Their dedication helps ensure residents can access compassionate, culturally responsive behavioral health care regardless of their circumstances. I want to thank the board for its continued leadership and support of countywide behavioral health initiatives. Today we're moving towards a future where mental health is openly discussed, where people feel safe seeking help, and where every resident has the support needed to thrive. In honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, I encourage everyone in our community to learn more, check in with one another, and seek help if you or someone you know needs support. For crisis needs, residents can call 988, and for behavioral health screenings and service connections, they can contact our Behavioral Health Services Screening and Coordination line at 916-875-1055. Thank you for recognizing May as Mental Health Awareness Month and for your continued partnership in supporting the well-being of Sacramento County. Finally, I'm grateful to be joined today by Levante Hill, a member of the Sacramento County Speakers Bureau. Levante Hill will be sharing his personal story of recovery. It's an inspiring example of resilience, hope, and the power of connection. Lived experience voices like Levante Hill's are essential in helping our community better understand mental health challenges and reminding others that recovery is not only possible, but happening every day in Sacramento County.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having us. It's an honor and a pleasure. My name is Levante Hill. I'm an associate clinical social worker alongside with the founder of Open Heart Journey and a member of Stop Stigma. Something that's very important that I want you all to understand is that we all have a story. Some like our story, some talk about our stories, some hide away from them. Childhood plays a big role with a lot of our stories. I'm one of those individuals that have endured an insurmountable amount of trauma. A lot of the times, no one really recognized it because I was one of those kids that was an academic assassin. I was an honor roll individual. I was one of those people who was a mentor. I was an athlete. All of those things that is a combination of a prize student. But underneath that, there was a lot of pain. There was a lot of darkness that we don't see. And a lot of you all in this room probably have a story that not a lot of people want to know. Or maybe you don't feel you have the courage to speak about. And for me, that pain was, I was shot at twice, all before the age of 18. I've lost a handful of friends. And for a black man, it's pretty easy for you to learn that I'm good as your sword and shield. You learn really well that it's easier to put your chin up, your chest out. You don't cry. But you don't really realize how big of an effect that has on you until you get older. I wish someone would have told me that what I experienced was actually trauma, and it stays in your body even if you don't want to admit it. I wish someone would have told me that when you walk outside and those streetlights come on and you feel scared, that's called anxiety. It's a fight or flight. But see, what they did tell me is that you're good. But I started to realize that I couldn't be mad at the adults that didn't tell me that something was going on because they couldn't teach me something that they didn't learn themselves. And then in 2019, I was diagnosed. I woke up with a barrage of negative thoughts that went against my morals and my values. My thoughts were crippling me, and I didn't understand why. It's really interesting when your superpower becomes your prison. Everybody taught me how to physically be strong. No one told me that I needed to be mentally strong. And then one moment, I got up, and I remember this very pivotal because in those darkest moments, sometimes that's your greatest strength. In this moment, I had a thought of suicide. And it wasn't that I wanted to take my life, but it was a certain amount of pain that I no longer wanted to feel. And sometimes we confuse the idea and the thought of suicide with someone that wants to take their life, but it's actually someone that wants to feel better than their situation. But in that moment, I seen what vulnerability looks like because my thought had changed from just the word suicide into Levante, if your thoughts don't align with you, take your life. But in that moment, that vulnerability for me was the shift. I got vulnerable and I got up in that moment. I said, no, I want to live. And I called my older brother and I said, big bro, I'm about to go to therapy. And he said, go ahead and do it. And in that moment, something was so different for me because for me growing up, there was a certain amount of shame. One, because in a black household, there's a saying, what happens in the house stays in the house. So I felt as if I was going against everything that was embedded into what made me who I am. And the second is because I'm a therapist. And when I couldn't understand what was going on, I couldn't diagnose myself. It made me feel as if I was an imposter to a field that I know I love. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you have felt that. And when I went throughout that process, I went to my therapist and she said, Levante, you're experiencing intrusive thoughts, and we all have them. There's these irrational beliefs, but the hardest thing is that you can't detach from yours. She said, you have obsessive compulsive disorder. I said, no way. I took a step back. I said, I don't want to clean. I don't want to do those things because that was my naive belief of what I seen growing up. The person that likes to check, or you're a germaphobe. She said you have pure obsessional. That means that my intrusive thoughts, what was going on with me, all happened internally. So, of course, as I smile here today, you wouldn't see that something was going wrong. But see, that's why Stop Stigma is so beautiful to me. because it became the bridge. It became the bridge of where stigma met understanding. It became the bridge where silence meant helping. It allowed for individuals to see that your story matters and you should talk about it. We all have a story in here, but the thing is that we don't feel comfortable enough to speak about it. Stop Stigma gives that opportunity for somebody to see more than just the statistics, the data, the information that we all can search up. And you can see somebody on the other end of that table that didn't want to get up today, but they still showed up. Somebody on the other side of that table that just lost somebody in their life, and they need somebody just to talk to. Stop Stigma gives individuals access. Some go to therapy. Some have places of where they go. But when you have something at your disposal that costs you nothing but just a little sweat equity and getting in your steps, that changes a life. It saves a life. And I don't share my story just for individuals to understand that I made it. I share my story because in 2019, if I would have quit, if I would have gave up, I would have never been able to join Stop Stigma, where my story is now heard around the world through a TED Talk. I would have never became a SAC Observer 30 under 30 in 2025. I would have never graduated from one of the top universities as a top honor graduate from the University of Southern California if I would have gave up. So I'm here today to just let you know that each and every one of your stories matter. And Stop Stigma continues to be a light in the darkness for a lot of individuals that do not have voices. Thank you for your time.
Levante, your story is very powerful. I mean, I tell people I don't cry. I have tear ducts that don't work, but I right now want to cry. And cry because you have a story that oftentimes doesn't get shared. People don't have the opportunity to really go to places where they can get the help they need. And so I thank you for being here today to share your story and to let people know of Stop Stigma organization that has probably a very powerful impact in the lives of people to continue to progress. So thank you for sharing your story today. I do have one more supervisor in the queue. Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you, and thank you, Levante, for taking the time to share your story with us. That means a lot to all of us up here, so thank you for your courage and for giving us your time. And Dr. Quist, thank you for the presentation. Obviously, I'm happy to support this and support Mental Health Month. May is Mental Health Month awareness and Stop the Stigma. And I also just was clarifying with Siobhan that we're going to have a larger discussion on behavioral health countywide in August, I think it is, because there seems to be a lot of discussion right now about both our county overseeing resources, inpatient, outpatient, everything in between, but also the implementation of other programs, Care Court, Prop 1, AOT. So I look forward to that larger discussion in August as well. So.
That's correct, Supervisor. We are working with some other partners to get their feedback on it, and we'll bring something before the board to talk about all those items that you just listed off in August. So
thank you.
And Dr. Quist, thank you for bringing Levante to share his story with, yeah. Okay.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Next item, please.
We are on to item 6, which is our public comments relating to matters not on the posted agenda. We currently have one speaker signed up. That is Barb Ram. Please approach the lectern, and you will have 2 minutes to address the supervisors.
Good morning, Barb.
Good morning. Thank you. So I wanted to point out that earlier this year, these supervisors approved a huge housing development. And I spoke to the woman who did the presentation, and she said, nope, no affordable housing in the whole development. So here's the thing. Affordable housing starts with you. It's not just this month. So we cannot manage what we cannot measure. Let me restate that. We cannot manage what we cannot measure. What does this mean? It means without facts, trends, and analysis, the supervisors have no way to confirm or deny what the sheriff and the inspector general reports. without data, actual facts about who complained, what was the complaint, when did the event happen, why did 2 deputies resign, why are 41 complaints still open, why is the Office of Inspector General so secretive? It doesn't feel or appear balanced and unbiased. And for $165,000 salary, I and we deserve more. And then there's the military equipment use report, which is wholly inadequate, absolutely no trends, no analysis, just a few pie charts confirming over and over again the brutal treatment of young black men. To say there was only 1 complaint against a Bearcat sighting seems impossible, but if we had details about all of the complaints to the Inspector General, we could confirm. We need to confirm. And the sheriff is supposed to be documenting all kite requests that are happening in the jail. How many? How were they resolved? Were they resolved? What happened? And again, this isn't happening. So also regarding Mental Health Month, it's pretty hilarious because the sheriffs and the police are constantly hassling mentally ill people, throwing them in jail, pushing them out the doors of the jail. So I don't know what the little green ribbon means, but we need to do a lot better. Thanks.
And we have no additional speakers for public comments off agenda.
All right, next item, please.
All right, next we have our consent calendar items. Those are 7 through 48. I do have a few notes. First, item 14, we're adopting an ordinance repealing and reenacting county building codes contained in the listed chapters. We waived the full reading and continued from April 28th, 2026, where it was item number 23 on the agenda. Item 18 is an introduction of an ordinance for Sacramento County on behalf of local fire districts. We will be repealing and adopting the 2025 California Fire Code, Title 24, Part 9 with amendments. We will be waiving the full reading and continuing to May 19th, 2026. Item 19 is an adoption of an ordinance of the Sacramento County Code amending the listed sections and adding a section relating to park regulations. We waived the full reading and continued from April 28th, 2026, where it was item number 27 on the agenda. Item 27 on this agenda is the adoption of an ordinance adding the listed sections to the Sacramento County Water Agency Code relating to impact fee offsets for affordable housing projects. We waived the full reading and continued from April 28th, 2026, where it was item number 34 on the agenda. And item 30 is the adoption of an ordinance amending sections 6.99.170 and 6.99.265 of the Sacramento County Code, Chapter 6.99, Title 6. We waived the full reading and continued from April 28th, 2026, where it was item number 36 on the agenda. Those are all the notes I have for our consent calendar items.
All right, Supervisor Cerna.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have questions on items 13 and 37.
Items 13 and 37. You would like those pulled for separate discussion?
I have questions on them, yeah.
Okay, thank you. We will get to those after we adopt the consent calendar.
I'm sorry?
Oh, you just want to talk on the...
You need to read item 13 into the record so I can bring our airport director up.
Thank you. I thought we were going for separate vote. Okay. And discussion. Gotcha. 13, 37. All right. Item 13 is authorize the Director of Airports to negotiate and execute the First Amendment to Agreement for installation, maintenance, and operation of a parking guidance system for Sacramento International Airport to expand the scope of service and increase the maximum payment amount from $5 million to $7,505,000.
And our airports director is looking for the way to have the podium drop.
Yeah. Oh. Thank you.
Good morning, Cindy.
Good morning.
I had a question about the item. It's somewhat peripheral, but it is an issue that I've seen come up both in social media, so to a wider audience, as well as an occasional email, and that is our parking reservation. I don't want to call it a reservation system, but it's I guess a way to explain to those that are driving to long-term parking, give them idea of number of spaces before they leave to embark to the airport. And then once they get to the airport, they can see signage, digital signage, I believe,
Correct.
that shows available spaces or no spaces. Would this item do anything to enhance the ability for us to give our traveling public the ability to understand between the time that they leave their home and the time that they get to the airport, that there's a better chance for parking? Because oftentimes the complaints that come my way is, I saw there were 300 spaces open when I left the house and I got there and there's no parking available.
Yes, indeed. So on our app, we have the information that you're speaking of, and this new system will be tied to that. So what happens, though, is sometimes we do have peak periods, and so especially early in the morning is when things fill up really fast. So when you get to the airport, you'll be able to see when you get on airport how many spaces are available in the current garage and then ultimately the new garage. And then when you drive into the garage, you'll be able to see how many spaces per floor. You can pick your floor. When you get on the floor with the red light, green light system, you'll be able to see where the spots are.
Is there anything that we're pursuing that would enhance kind of the in real time online ability of someone that's traveling to park long term at the airport? Maybe in the future, an ability to secure, a parking stall of some sort, or maybe a reservation system of some sort.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for that question. We are going to be doing that, and we'll be speaking with the board in August when we come with looking at parking rates. But we are going, as part of that parking rate matter that we'll be bringing to the board, we plan to also facilitate reservations. Not sure exactly where they will be, but yes, indeed.
Okay, very good.
Before you move off this item, I just want to say I love the new system. I think the green lights, red lights, knowing how many spots there are on a floor, it lowers my stress level when I'm pulling into the airport. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It also helps air quality, by the way, so people aren't driving around looking for a spot.
Indeed.
But mostly, that's why we're doing it, because we know it makes our customers very anxious, and generally, we're trying to have a stress-free experience.
Thank you for that, Cindy. Hopefully, those that have at least reached out to me are watching this morning or will watch later and understand that I'm listening to what those concerns are. But it sounds like the technology that's being deployed is following their interest and their concerns. So
Yes, it will. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And item 37, authorization to execute a retroactive memorandum of understanding for participation in the Sacramento, San Francisco Homeland Security Task Force with the affiliated agencies, and to execute a retroactive revenue agreement for lease and operational expenses, memorandum of agreement up to the amount of $500,000 for the period of October 1st through September 30th, 2026.
Thank you. There may be others that have questions on this item, so please, if there are, chime in. But overarching question on this, want to understand the time sensitivity to the requested action. This is, I believe this is a retroactive action that the Sheriff's Department is pursuing, is it not?
It is, sir.
And then what does that mean in terms of its necessity to be acted on by the board today?
Let me first introduce myself. I'm Lieutenant Rod Grassman. I am the Bureau Commander for Homeland Security for the Sacramento Sheriff's Office. To your question, we are the fiduciary for the FBI's strike force, which has actually been in existence here since 2019. The strike force has really just reiterated itself, rebranded itself into HSTF. And as the fiduciary for them, what we do is we maintain their equipment purchases, their rental leasing of their facilities, those sorts of things. We have been doing that. The reason we're retroactive, asking for retroactive, is because we're going back in time. We've actually been doing those, covering those costs while they transition, and we need to be able to recoup those costs then by retroactive adoption of that.
So you said FBI strike force?
Yes, the OCDF, which is the umbrella, and then strike force is really the specific task force. And it really, the whole focus of it is guns, human trafficking, and money laundering, basically cartels, criminal cartels.
Is the FBI the lead federal agency among several?
Among many, yes, sir.
Okay. Because when you say FBI, then I think it leaves the public assuming that it's just a retroactive action that you're seeking from the board relative to that federal agency, but it's not just that federal agency.
It's made up of many different DEA and so forth, yes.
So let me ask the let me ask the question a little differently. What happens if we continue the item until the next board meeting to perhaps get some questions that have been posed from some of my constituents about the proposed requested action? What happens practically if we wait those 2-3 weeks?
It will not allow us to act as a fiduciary, basically making payments for for their leases and their equipment during that time until it is actually passed.
But it's today retroactive, correct?
Yes.
So what are we doing now then relative to that?
We've been able to cover it through our previous fiduciary agreement. Again, this is the same team that we have been affiliated with since 2019. It's just a rebranding, and so in doing that, the contract was redone. This is really taking the focus from criminal cartels to criminal cartels that have an international nexus.
So practically, though, does work stop?
No.
Okay.
The work won't stop.
Okay, very good. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Any other questions on 37? Supervisor Kennedy?
Thank you, Chair. Does this agreement in any way enhance, increase the level of cooperation of the Sheriff's Department and ICE?
Thank you for that question, because I really wanted to address it here with you and with the community. So I've had extensive dialogue with the supervisory special agent in charge of the HSTF here in Sacramento. She has told me emphatically that DHS does not have CBP or removal officers or any arm of ICE that do immigration enforcement in our HSTF. There is no nexus to them at all. They're not co-housed there. They're not part of the mission. We are in 100 compliance with SB 54.
So that's the current situation, but as far as going forward, should this be approved, whether now or soon, is there an opening of a door that could change that relationship?
No, sir, not at all. Okay. There will be none.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, could I ask a follow-up to that? So, and I appreciate the question. So then, to put a finer point on it, what is the role of, because ICE is mentioned in the board letter, what is the role of Immigration's Custom Enforcement?
I think that the confusion is that they used a national template for that MOU, and then we have further refined. So in some parts of the country, that might be ICE or immigration may be part of it. I don't know for sure, again, outside of California. But we have refined the language so that it is very specific that there is no immigration or ICE component either housed or part of the mission. We're not going to be sharing information of any kind with them. There'll be nothing to do with civil removal. This is simply criminal cartels.
Now I'm a little more confused than I was before I asked the question. So ICE is clearly referenced as one of the federal agencies in the board letter, but are you calling that a kind of a boilerplate recognition because that's a federal composition or a nationwide composition of federal agencies?
Yes, and it is. So the ICE would fall under DHS, which is one of the funders of the grant. But again, in working in California and particularly with Sacramento HSTF, there is no component of the immigration or ICE or removal with this task force.
So then if we had the ability to rewind the clock, would it have made sense and would it have been accurate and factual to not even put ICE in the board letter?
That is.
I'm not trying to play gotcha.
No,
I'm just trying to
I understand.
yeah.
No, I get you. Again, that's why we went back and kind of worked with legal to massage that language that made it clear that there wouldn't be that component.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Those are all
Any
my
other questions on or comments on 37? So I have a question. So there is no, if there was an individual, I imagine it's in custody, who has some serious crimes, and they do have immigration status issues, what happens then?
I pose this question actually to the team leader.
Okay, because I understand there are certain components, but then there is a component where somebody may have committed some serious heinous crimes, just drug cartels with very high level crime. What happens then?
So I asked that specifically. So individuals that may have that are in for criminal in the jails or for criminal offenses, they're going to be prosecuted here in the United States. They are not. It is not for deportation. It is actually for criminal prosecution.
And then once that is completed, they get released back to the public.
If there was jail time or prison time with that, they would do that, and then yes, they would be released. There's not a deportation after that, from our aspect, from HSTF. Yes.
All right, I'm good. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I said, just wanted to call out item 22.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 22 on the agenda. Approve authority to apply for and accept grant funding from the Sacramento Area Council of Governments under the Regional Active Transportation Program and to expand local match funds.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. So I just want to recognize, obviously I'm very in support of this item and several related items relating to infrastructure investments in unincorporated Sacramento County. And I just want to thank Community Services and DOT. Part of this item was born out of a very diligent group of students at Del Campo High School who recognize that stretch of roadway on Dewey Drive, for those of you who are familiar with it, is built for much more vehicular traffic. And the students realize that, hey, we could take some of this space, convert it to safer biking and walking facilities. And I just really appreciate DOT working with those students and appreciate us engaging in projects like this in unincorporated Sacramento County. I don't think we call that out enough, and I just want to do it today, and thank you for all your efforts, and of course I'm very supportive. So, thank you.
My apologies, Todd, there were some public speakers on 37.
Part of the consent calendar, so
Okay,
we'll
so
call
what just
them up
happened?
once
Okay.
we're done with this
Great,
discussion.
thank you. Okay, Supervisor Hume.
Thank you, Chair. I just had a question on item number 18, please.
Item number 18, introduce an ordinance for Sacramento County on behalf of local fire districts, repeal and adopt the 2025 California Fire Code, Title 24, California Code of Regulations, Part 9, with amendments.
So my question is, it's been some months ago now where there was an instance of the Cosumnes Community Services District Fire having a different fire standard than the other fire districts. I believe it was a split vote, but that it went forward here. So does this put that whole item to bed, or is that something that's going to come back up at a later date?
Supervisor Hume, I believe this is something different. I'll let Deputy County Executive DeFonte respond to that.
Which is the other option, because I didn't see that particular issue referenced in the board letter.
Yeah, so Dave DeFonte, Deputy County Executive. This is a separate matter. So this is county code language that will cover other areas not covered by Cosumnes and Metro Fire. So think the Natomas area, for example. This will be the code that controls that area. And it is mimicked on what we did adopt with Metro Fire. So you're going to see a very similar language. And as you recall, we worked a lot with our customers, including the BIA and Metro Fire, to massage language from years past to make it much more palatable to getting housing built generally. So this language does reflect that. As to Cosumnes, I have not heard any updates. I don't know if Mr. Givens, sounds like he has not either.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Appreciate the clarification.
All right. And now we can go to public comments.
All right. So public comments for consent calendar items 7 through 48. First, we have up Barb Bram speaking on item 37.
Thank you, Supervisor Cerna, for at least pointing out inaccuracies, again, from the Sheriff's Department, because why would we get anything accurate from them? Please vote no on item 37. Please think about the people, your constituents, your neighbors. California Sanctuary State Law, SB 54, prohibits local law enforcement from using resources for immigration enforcement. Like the Brown Act enforcing the decorum in the room, please enforce SB 54, the decorum of our sheriff. Locally, ICE protesters have been detained in the Sacramento County main jail, which is sheriff, after violent arrests by DHS agents and SAC-PD due to federal contracts with the Sheriff's Department. Please remember, Sac County Sheriff Department is the 10th largest in the country, but Sacramento is the 20th largest city, so it's twice as large as it needs to be. And instead of serving us, the sheriff and his department is violating and abusing us. Please vote no on item 37.
Next up, we have Christopher Carbajal.
Good morning, Christopher.
Good morning. Do you mind if we raise this? Appreciate it. Cool. Thank you. My name is Christopher Camilo Carvajal. I'm the program and campaign coordinator for Decarsway Sacramento and an appointed member of the Sacramento County Public Safety and Justice Agency Advisory Committee. That's a mouthful. Along with the 40-plus emails that y'all received on behalf of Sacramento residents, I'm here today asking you to vote no on item 37, reevaluate and end the Sacramento Sheriff's collaboration with ICE through the Sacramento San Francisco Homeland Security Task Force. For me, this is deeply personal. I was 6 years old when immigrant enforcement took my father, Camilo. I watched officers stand outside my home, arrest him, jail him, and eventually deport him back to Mexico. That moment split my family in half. My mother became a single parent overnight. We lived through fear, instability, and survival. My father never made it home. He died after 20 years of forced separation. I had to travel thousands of miles to Oaxaca just to bury him, and now I grieve him across the border. So when this county chooses to collaborate with ICE, DHS, and federal enforcement agencies, please understand these are not abstract policies to families like mine. These collaborations destroy families. They destroy communities. And today, that fear is rising across Sacramento communities. California sanctuary law was supposed to prevent local resources from being used for immigration enforcement, yet this task force allows local policing infrastructure, information sharing, and public resources to remain connected to the same federal agencies carrying out raids, surveillance, detention, and deportation. The Sheriff's Department has documented history of collaboration with ICE and unlawful data sharing practices. Community members have already watched anti-ICE protesters arrested by DHS and booked into Sacramento County main jail. Sanctuary cannot exist only as language. If county resources are still accessible to federal immigration enforcement, then sanctuary is not real. If there is no accountability, there is no safety. I'm asking the board to vote no on item 37, to reevaluate end this collaboration and ensure that no county resources, data, or infrastructure are used to support immigration enforcement in Sacramento County. No child like me should grow up with an empty chair at the dinner table because of deportation. No family should lose decades together because local governments choose collaboration over protection. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher.
Our next speaker on consent item 37, Kim Schuster.
Do I press this little button on the side to get the time started, or do you guys do that?
We do it.
You guys do it? All right, cool.
Thank you for adjusting for my height.
Good morning, Kim.
Good morning, y'all. It's nice to be here with you all. My name is Kim Schuster, and I'm a local therapist and about to be a small business owner, so I'm about to go next door and get that started soon, so very excited for that. I lived in Sacramento County for the last 3 years and served a whole bunch of clients as well here, and so very much following the lines of what Barb was saying and Christopher as well, also saying no on item 37. Just want to bring up a few things. I imagine that maybe you guys remember the lawsuit from Sacramento County back in 2021 regarding the ICE logbook. If not, I can definitely refresh memories. This is referring to what people have mentioned already, the SB 54, and that there was a violation of that. The sheriff's office was illegally notifying ICE agents a person's release date and time, and then the ICE agents were right outside the door as soon as they were released. So obviously that does violate SB 54. Also violates the Trust Act, or the Truth Act, which requires that officials provide written notification of ICE requests to interview them or transfer them to ICE custody. So that was a big thing in 2021, but it didn't just happen in 2021. It happened in 2020, 2019, and even 2018. So with all that whole fiasco cost you all at least $200,000 in the attorney's fees. Quite a bit. That's about half of the money that they're requesting to renew today, the $500,000. So with that all, just want to remind you all, yes, we want to be careful. I appreciate the Supervisor Phil Serna was bringing up the concern of hey, let's just remove, if ICE really has nothing to do with it, let's just take it out, please. Save us all the headache and hopefully no problems going forward in the future. And I have 15 seconds, so I will throw in the request to limit the automated license plate reader, the ALPR data retention from 2 years, which is currently at, to 30 days, which is more in line with most other cities, San Jose, Oakland, Vallejo, Napa. Everyone else is doing it, so let's get with the times. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate it.
And our last speaker signed up for consent calendar item 37, Shantico Ailman.
Good morning.
Well, good morning, people participating in this event. Thank you very much for having me here today. I just wanted to state my concern that I am very deeply concerned about any collaboration between the County Sheriff's Department and federal immigration enforcement agencies, such as ICE, DHS, and the federal task forces connected to immigration and domestic surveillance operations. California Sanctuary Law, SB 54, was created to prohibit local law enforcement resources being used for immigration enforcement purposes. Residents deserve assurance that local agencies are fully complying with both the spirit and the letter of these protections. There are serious concerns about local collaboration with ICE and DHS. Local anti-ICE protesters have reportedly been detained in the Sacramento County main jail following arrests involving, DHS agents and Sacramento Police Department officers through federal coordination and contracts connected to the Sheriff's Department. Many community members fear that local resources are increasingly being used to support federal immigration enforcement and political surveillance activities. There is also documented history that raises concerns about transparency and accountability. In the past, Sacramento Sheriff's Department was accused of illegally collaborating with ICE through a secretive policy that facilitated transfers of immigrants from county jail custody to ICE detention, which became the subject of litigation and public reporting. I am also concerned about the collaboration with FBI-led task force that resemble the Joint Terrorism Task Force model. Communities across the country have raised alarms regarding discriminatory policing practices, violations of local protections, and civil liberties, concerns connected to these task force. Cities such as Portland, San Francisco, and Oakland have previously withdrawn participation due to concerns regarding constitutional rights and community trust. Additionally, many residents are concerned about expanding federal definitions of domestic terrorism being used in ways that could impact activists, nonprofits, protesters, journalists, faith communities, and ordinary residents engaged in protected speech and assembly.
Shantico, just if you could wrap it up, please.
Okay. So lastly, I want to say that when law enforcement agencies become associated with fear, surveillance, family separation, or suppression of protected speech, it damages public trust and weakens community safety. Our country should lead with humanity, accountability, privacy protections, fairness, and respect for the Constitution.
Thank you.
And there are no additional speakers.
Okay.
Move consent.
Oh, wait, we have one more comment. Supervisor Cerna?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to put on the floor a motion to continue item 37 for the purpose of getting some of at least my remaining questions asked and answered. I'm not eager to vote no on any, and I know this is administrative. This is simply a retroactive memorandum of to cover the costs that I guess have already been expended, right? So I'm not eager to vote no against that in the totality of our efforts to especially work with our federal law enforcement agencies as it relates to cartel activities, certainly. But I still have questions about what precise elements under ICE, if any, are part of that federal team, what they're doing, how that's different than the immigration enforcement part of the suite of duties of the Immigration's Custom Enforcement Agency. And I don't have those answers. Doesn't mean I wouldn't ultimately, if we did continue, ultimately support the request. But today I'm not feeling like I'm armed with enough information, and I've actually got a few more questions based on my line of questioning earlier. So I'd put on the floor continuing item 37 and look for a second.
Second.
Okay. Let's go for
No, I punched in.
Oh, you want to talk on this one too?
Yes.
Okay. Supervisor Kennedy?
Thank you, and I echo the words of Supervisor Cerna. Clearly the answers to my questions, and then when you read the board letter, at the very least it creates a level of confusion that I would need to feel more comfortable going forward. This isn't necessarily just a dollar decision that we're talking about. It's a very strong policy decision, or has policy implications that I don't feel have been answered adequately. That's not to say, as Supervisor Cerna said, that I'm going to be opposed to this in the future. There's just too many questions, too many contradictions between what was said today and the staff report for me to feel comfortable going forward with it. So that's why I second the motion.
Okay. So we're taking 37 to a vote, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
The motion to continue it fails 2-0 with noes from Supervisor Desmond, Rodriguez, and Hume.
Now we'll take the question on the consent calendar.
Correct.
So we have a motion and a second.
Consent calendar passes 5-0, all members present.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
If I could have the record reflect my no vote on item 37.
I was just going to say the same thing.
Well, certainly no votes on item 37 from Supervisor Kennedy and Supervisor Cerna.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next item, please.
All right, next on our agenda, we have item 49. In County Service Area Number 1, Zone 1, the public hearing on the benefit category change and levy of increased service charges for the 10170 Missile Way Warehouse project.
Good morning, members of the board. I'm Dawn Pimentel with County Engineering. The project 10170 Missile Way Warehouse is situated on the northeast corner of Missile Way and Spats Way. The development consists of a two-story building, warehouse, and office with associated site improvements. The project was approved on March 25, 2025. Required to the building permit issuance, the project proponents submitted an application to initiate the benefit category change process. Following that submission, the notice and Proposition 218 ballot were sent to the property owner on March 27, 2026. Currently, the project's existing parcel is in the safety light only category with an annual assessment of $2.56. Upon changing to the enhanced street and safety light non-residential category, the annual service charge will increase to approximately $2,160.06 for the developed project. If the board has no questions, staff recommends opening the public hearing, consider any written and oral testimony along with any objections or protests, closing the public hearing, and directing the clerk to tabulate the returned protest ballot.
Okay, there's no supervisors in the queue, so we will now open the public hearing.
We have no request to speak on this item.
All right, we will now close the public hearing and let the clerk tabulate the responses.
We have received one ballot for this item. One official protest ballot from Sacramento County Office of Education, address 10170 Missile Way, Mather, California. The ballot is signed and dated and marked yes.
Thank you. Since there is no majority protest, the fill-ins for the resolution will be in Section 2. At the close of the hearing, the board received 0 written protests. In Section 3, at the close of the tabulation, the board received 1 protest ballot totaling 100% of the total service charges to be levied, of which 100% was in favor of the change of benefit category and 0% were in opposition to the change of the benefit category.
Okay, thank you. I will entertain a motion.
Move to adopt the attached resolution.
Second.
All right, please vote.
That item passes 5-0.
All right, next item, please.
Next item is 50. Also County Service Area 1. This is to conduct a public hearing on the fiscal year 2026-27 service charges, confirm the engineer's report, and adopt the resolution setting service charges for fiscal year 26-27.
Good morning.
Good morning, members of the board. Kamal Atwal, Principal Civil Engineer with DOT. CSA 1 provides the funding for maintenance, operations, and electrical rate costs for safety and streetlights in the unincorporated Sacramento County. Since the passage of Prop 218 in November of 96, standard service charges are remained frozen. However, in 2006, enhanced and decorative service charges were adopted. Each has the provisions for inflation to ensure funding stability for from the development projects. However, the inflation factors are determined by higher of either CPI index or SMUD electrical rate increases, but they're capped at 5% max. For fiscal year 26-27, the service charges are based on CPI index, which is 3.03%. In your board letter, you'll find the comparison for the service charges for the current fiscal year and the upcoming fiscal year. Top three rows are fixed, and then the bottom 4 rows are inflated by 3.03, accounting the inflation adjustment. DOT maintains 27,672 safety lights, which are owned by state, county, and SMUD. County owns 25,739 lights out of those. County currently also has energy efficiency measures in place. We are converting our inventory to LED. Right now we have 1,434 streetlights remaining to be retrofitted. In 2025, last year, we completed 263 LED conversions. We continue to do that as the funds become available each fiscal year. And staff recommends opening the public hearing and take the testimony for the upcoming service charges for fiscal year 26-27 based on the engineer's report, and adopt the attached resolution after the close of public comments.
Thank you, Kamal. There are no supervisors in the queue, so we will now open the public hearing. Are there any public comments?
We have no speakers for item 50.
All right, we will now close the public hearing. And will the staff please read the fill-ins? Oh, is that the wrong queue?
No, I was reading something here. I'm sorry. What was that cue?
So we close the public hearing and
Okay, yeah, adopt the attached resolution confirming the service charges for fiscal year 26-27.
Move to adopt the resolution.
all right, please vote.
That item passes unanimous vote, 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kamal. All right, next item, please.
Next item on our agenda is number 51. This is the California 2024-25 California State Legislative Update Zoning Code Amendment for the listed sections of the state of the Sacramento County Zoning Code to incorporate changes in California state law passed between 2023 and 2025 related to zoning and land use.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Emma James, and I am one of the lead planners on this project. I will be presenting the first half of zoning code amendments in this package, and my colleague, Matthew Jumamoy, will present the second half. The purpose of, do I have a clicker? Okay. Thank you. The purpose of this zoning code amendment is to bring the Sacramento County Zoning Code into compliance with state legislation that became effective in 2024 and 2025. Planning staff are already implementing the proposed changes, but the proposed amendments will formally codify the bills. The chapters affected by this amendment are listed on the current slide. There are also minor changes to multiple special planning areas. This table breaks up the bills we reviewed based on their subject matter and lists the zoning code sections that were amended to implement these new laws. The bills covered single-family development, multifamily development, state density bonus law, institutional and commercial uses, and procedural changes. I will be providing a brief summary of each bill in the following slides. The first bill related to single-family development is SB 450, which modifies SB 9 law. Many of the changes resulting from the passage of this bill are clarifying and technical in nature and include removing specific demolition restrictions, amending objective standards, and adding a 60-day shot clock on final action of applications. The second set of bills related to single-family developments are SB 684 and SB 1123. The board heard about these bills with the Title 22 update in July of 2025. They allow small lot subdivisions, meaning a parcel map or tentative and final map for a housing development with up to 10 parcels and 10 residential units. There are multiple eligibility criteria that must be met, and there is a 60-day shot clock for final decisions on these applications. The first bill related to multifamily development is AB 2387, which allows expansions up to 10% of the number of approved lots in mobile home parks. Projects must meet requirements to qualify for the expansion, including a condition that existing community facilities may not be reduced as a result. The next multifamily development bill is AB 2243, related to redevelopment. It modifies some objective standards, size requirements, and defining terms related to affordability thresholds in regional mall redevelopment projects. The next multifamily bill is SB 4, which allows housing development by right on properties owned by religious and higher education institutions. There is a requirement that these projects are 100% affordable. The final bill related to multifamily housing is AB 1490, related to the conversion of existing buildings in their existing footprints into multifamily housing. 100% affordability is also required for these projects, along with other specific criteria. The following bills are related to density bonus law. AB 3116 revises density bonus provisions for student housing projects related to enrollment rates of student tenants and an expansion of incentives granted if a higher percentage of units are offered to lower income students. AB 2694 revises the terminology used for senior housing facilities to more closely align with how it is referenced in other policies. It also makes minor changes to specific criteria of senior housing units. AB 323, AB 1287, and SB 713 brought forth various amendments to density bonus law related to the number of incentives granted to affordable projects and bonus stacking. And now I'm going to turn over the remainder of the presentation to Matthew.
Thank you, Emma.
Thank you.
Hello, board members. Matthew Jamama, Associate Planners. I'll take over from here. Okay. The following set of bills I'm going to discuss are related to institutional and commercial uses. The first one here is SB 1395, which includes minor revisions to the definition of low barrier navigation centers to allow for non-congregate and relocatable shelters. An example of this type of shelter is what's already in place at the Florin Road Safe Stay site. AB 2085 is a bill specifically targeted at allowing qualifying community clinics to be permitted wherever office, retail, healthcare, or parking are allowed uses. AB 2371 removes the requirement for a permit in adherence to local development standards for non-agricultural electric security fences through January 1, 2028. Electric security fences are still required to obtain a building permit, but are not required to obtain a minor use permit and may exceed previously established local height standards. AB 894 allows shared parking agreements on non-contiguous parcels as long as the parcels are within a specific distance or shuttles are provided. AB 2632 requires jurisdictions to regulate thrift stores in the same way as non-thrift retail stores. This is the bill that amends all the special planning area ordinances. SB 1186 prohibits jurisdictions from regulating retail sale by delivery, that's the key part, of medicinal cannabis to medicinal cannabis patients. These two bills, AB 2729 and AB 2904, introduce procedural changes, including extensions for housing entitlements affected by COVID and an expansion on the required noticing period for Planning Commission hearings. On April 13, 2026, the Planning Commission recommended that the board approve the requested amendments. Planning and Environmental Review staff recommend that the board take the following actions: determine that the notice of exemption is adequate and complete, and approve the ordinance amending chapters 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and various special planning areas of the Sacramento County Zoning Code. And that concludes our presentation. Emma and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Bless you.
Okay, so far there are no questions. Great presentation. Are there any public comments?
We have no speakers for this item.
Okay, I will entertain. Oh, Supervisor Hume.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just before we receive a motion in a second, I'm just going to say that this is completely a Quixote tilting at windmills moment, but I'm going to vote no on this item just because I'm increasingly frustrated by the state reaching down to what we can do as a local land use authority. There are a lot of things in this that are completely innocuous, some of which I even agree with, but I think that that should be made by this body and not by our friends over there in the White Dome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Matthew. And then
I'll move to amend.
So, sorry, hold on a second. Move to amend.
That's the action we're being asked to take, right?
Oh,
Yeah, you can move staff recommendation.
Okay, all right, very good, very good. Sorry, that was new language. All right, please vote.
This item passes 4-1 with Supervisor Hume voting no.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Thank you, Matthew and Emma. Next item, please.
Item 52 has been previously continued. We're on to item 53. Community Service Agency update regarding development review process and cultural improvements.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Chair, members of the board, Dave DeFonte, Deputy County Executive. So before we begin, you've probably heard me in the past talk about our process improvement effort, but then I've always added it's really about culture change as well. So we've actually officially changed the title for this item. And again, before we get going, what you just saw there was part of our culture change. So we just had 2 new planners present to you for the very first time, both Emma and Matthew, and that is something that we've instituted over the last few years, right? We talked earlier about anxiety and stopping the stigma. This can be anxiety-inducing,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
I mean, I remember my first presentation up here, I about fell over. So, you know, this doesn't come natural to everybody, and getting people up here, you know, this is a learned thing for most of us. It doesn't come natural. So anyway, just wanted to point that out. You guys did a fantastic job. Okay, so let us begin. So you will recall a few years back in February of 2022, this board passed a resolution stating what is sort of a simple but lofty goal, and that's to be the best place to build in the region. And that resolution contained a lot of information, including this board's why. Why do we want to be the best place to build? It's to address the housing supply and affordability crisis, reinvest in our existing communities, and do so with the environment and climate change at the forefront when making decisions relevant to those. It also provided a lot of detail as to the how. So how do we do that? We provide exceptional customer service. I'm going to talk a lot about that today. Have processes in place that make sense, are easy to navigate, and be a trusted and helpful partner to our customers. So that resolution was our North Star for this process and continues to be so today. So we actually started this journey a few months prior to bringing that resolution to you. We hired a consultant who came in and did interviews with the board that stood at the time, customers, as well as some staff, and provided a whole list of recommendations to us. That report became a very long list of initiatives that we started working on, over 150. Very happy to say that list is down to a single page, and we've just done a tremendous job knocking items off of that list to the benefit both of us as staff processing applications as well as our customers.
How big is the font?
Yeah, I was just going to say.
That was not intended for you to read. You've seen versions of that in the past. I think the key message here is that we've completed over 90% of those process improvements, and we're still both chipping away at that list and, as you'll see later today, adding new things to yet a new list.
Supervisor Serna, did you want to make a
I was just going to say that I noted that the font was the same size. So.
Yes. And again, this next slide, again, not intended to be read on the slide. This is actually an attachment to your staff report. This is some of the highlights of things we accomplished in 2025. So today I want to talk about sort of what we've done over the last year and really spend some time looking forward into 2026 and beyond. So some of the things I just want to highlight out of this document include last year amending our code to lower hearing body authority for subdivision maps, which has been a great success so far. We've launched our first phase of concurrent review program. So we're processing different applications concurrently rather than sequentially. You'll hear we're actually looking to expand that in 2026. We've doubled our availability for pre-application meetings. So we were hearing some customer concerns. It was taking time to get in the door to have those pre-app meetings. And that's of great benefit to our customers because they can get a sense of what comments they may be hearing from staff, the road ahead, before they even file an application. So now we're doing those hearings weekly, or those meetings weekly, which has been a great benefit to our customers. We also launched something related to our construction process where after the construction season, sort of in the fall and winter, we have kind of morbidly called our post-mortem meetings with our construction management staff, our transportation staff, and our water resources staff to essentially review the construction season, see how things went, and do an evaluation and decide whether or not anything needs to change for the next construction season. Anybody involved in construction knows that oftentimes you'll design a project, get it funded, put it out to bid, start working on it, and then in the field things change, right? You start digging, you hit something that you didn't think was there was other challenges, so that postmortem gives us a chance to actively, sort of almost in real time right after the fact, review what happened and then make changes moving forward. We also implemented a board-approved program to provide fee offsets for affordable housing projects. To date, we've expended $2.9 million on that front. I believe we have a bunch more in the works. I'm looking at Claudia Wade over there. It's been a great success as well. We worked, as you heard this morning, with Metro Fire and the building industry to adopt a new fire code, both for Metro Fire as well as just a few moments ago for other lands within the unincorporated area that really made some fundamental changes that is going to benefit housing production greatly while also continuing to provide our fire life safety services appropriately. We did a full update of our water-related county improvement standards. These are often the things that go on the consent calendar that really aren't discussed but represent years of work in a lot of instances. It's the really nitty-gritty stuff we don't talk about, but it is very meaningful to make sure that those standard construction specs make sense for both our staff and our customers, so we're not arguing about things when we're out in the field, et cetera. As you might recall, we created a Stormwater Utility 2 last year. That's going to be, again, of great benefit to our customers up until that point to comply with state law and what we call low-impact development standards. Oftentimes, they would have to create sort of these minor, very small financing districts to fund the implementation and general upkeep of those facilities over the years. We now have a program where they can opt in, and it's sort of one large program that will be managed by the county, and will take care of those facilities on their behalf, so we're not having a bunch of small HOAs or CFDs throughout the county doing that in a smaller fashion. We also completed what we called our Process Pros efforts. So this is where we hired a Lean Six Sigma certified team to come in and help our staff map our processes. And that directly led into a lot of the improvements that we're working on related to Acela. So I'm going to put a pin in both of those things, and we'll come back to them just shortly in this presentation.
Just really quick, Dave, I want to say that you mentioned lean, and I've heard a lot of great compliments from the communities, from the Building Industry Association, from so many people that do business with Sacramento County. And what was before, and I don't know what the before was, but they credit you for a lot of the work that has been done. But I've always appreciated that you have brought in that lean methodology that really does make things more efficient and identifies waste, improves processes, increases efficiency. And so I just want to say I personally appreciate that you have done that, because it shows that it works. And the fact that now Sacramento County has a reputation of improvements and great to do business with really is a reflection of your leadership and what you have brought into the county. I wish lean methodology could be utilized in all departments, predominantly in homeless services, because it will, what happened in your department could happen throughout the entire county. And for government to look at lean as a method of implementation for improving processes and continuous improvement, I think it's really neat. You don't really hear about government doing that, but I appreciate that you brought that into the county. Just want to say that.
Well, thank you, and it has been a huge lift for our staff. So, what you'll hear today is a lot of things that are sort of above and beyond what we normally do. So all the staff working on all these initiatives, they still have their base workload, right? So everything, most of the things we're talking about here is sort of above and beyond things we've added to their plate. So I think it is how I like to couch it is it's an investment in the future. Yeah. But there is a cost, both monetarily as well as time that would otherwise be spent elsewhere. But I think it's an investment worth making. So one of the investments we made last year was, again, back to the culture front. So we spent a lot of time last year defining what we wanted to be known for by way of customer service. So again, you've heard me say this a lot. It's really about culture, and process sort of falls from that. So this was probably our largest initiative last year. So we've had quarterly meetings with all development-related staff across multiple departments meet on a quarterly basis. So that's upwards of 200-plus people that are meeting together in one room 4 times a year. 3 of those meetings last year were dedicated to the effort I'm about to walk through. So at the very first meeting, our Department of Transportation led us through an effort to define what became our 4 pillars of customer service. And you see them there on the screen: empathy, responsive and timely service, clear and consistent communication, and empowerment, both of our staff and our customers. At the next meeting, our Water Resources team facilitated a discussion around the actions and behaviors that need to be put in place to realize those pillars. So one example here is a behavior statement related to responsive and timely service. Our behavior statement is: we provide responsive and timely service by promoting or promptly communicating updates and timelines, meeting our deadlines, proactively managing and scheduling expectations, and providing comprehensive responses. So we took those pillars and said, what would it take? What behaviors and actions would it take to realize that vision? The third and final workshop was facilitated by community development, and that was to talk about how to measure our success. How do we know if it's working? How do we hold ourselves accountable? So we had a really robust discussion with staff that led to things like leading by example. People like me should be walking the walk, right, if I'm going to talk the talk. Goal setting and evaluations, both at an individual level and at a team level. And recognition. So out of that was born our new customer service award process that we just implemented a few months back. So what you have attached to your staff report is some of sampling of the products that came out of that. We've created huge posters for our front counters. We have a multi-page flyer that speaks to the process that I just mentioned. We also have, and I have a gift for all of you, these cards. So we call these the above the line, below the line cards, and they actually very conveniently fit right in here if you got one of these. So I'll hand these to you.
And while you do that, Supervisor Serna has a
Thank you. I don't know if it has, you have to go back to the previous slide, but it was the previous line of discussion.
Oh, see, now I'm victim to this. How do you get... Somebody want to help me? Thanks, Todd. There we go.
Dave, when you were discussing the kind of the expectation for behaviors, I guess, relative to responsiveness to clients, to our customers, is that, how centralized or not is that? In other words, is each member of, let's say the planning department, whether it's assistant planner or principal or planning director, are they each individually, do they all hold the same responsibility for timeliness to get back to whomever they have to get back to? Or is there, do we have like a sub-department or an individual that is kind of taking all the info on a weekly basis, maybe even daily basis, from building and planning and, you know, economic development, and then that from that office, that sole purpose of that individual's existence here is to make sure that everything is timely in terms of response. So can you shed a little light on that?
Absolutely. So the answer to all of that is yes, but I'll break it down in 2 parts. So our expectation is that calls and emails are returned within 24 hours. So that's just an expectation across the board. We understand things happen, right? People are on vacation, whatever, but the general expectation, within 1 day, you will hear back from us. It gets much more complicated from there. So we have various processes. I'll take building, for example. We implemented something called job captains this last year. So their job is to do exactly what you just said. The building will intake a building permit application, and the job captain's role is to then shuttle it out to the various departments to get their questions and comments on that application, pull them back into one place, and communicate with one voice back to the customer. So it is their role in that process to be, this is the term I use a lot, and it's inelegant, but the chief herder of cats, right? Planning has the same role relative to planning applications, where you have an assigned planner who through their process will, again, take an application in, do some level of work, send it out to all sorts of departments, both internal to the county and external to the county, retrieve those comments, bring them back, and send them to the customer. We have various MOUs between departments and divisions that talk about turnaround times for all of that stuff. And we're actively reviewing those now to make sure that, number one, everybody's on the same page relative to expectations, and two, can we shorten any of those timeframes? So that's a complicated answer to probably a more simple question, but any follow-ups from that?
Yeah, is there a common platform that everyone is using then to get back to folks within that 24-hour period?
So I guess there's three: calls and emails, right, of course, but Acela is really our mothership, and we're going to talk about that later, our software system of record. That is where we want to conduct all of our business and really eliminate sort of any shadow systems outside of it. To the extent we have other systems, we want to make sure that they're talking to Acela. And that's baggage I've had from years past working elsewhere where, the system of record was so complicated or didn't work well that staff created their own systems outside of it. And at one point we had 29 different shadow systems outside of the mothership. And, when people retire, that causes a ton of confusion because things are being managed outside of sort of how it should be.
That's very good to hear because I can see some employees would say, I'm going to reserve the last hour of the workday. And we all know that it's never 9 to 5. But the last hour of the workday is going to be, that's when I'm going to, dedicate myself to emails, getting emails back to someone or calls back to someone, where maybe someone else has a different way of trying to achieve the 24-hour goal of response. So I'm encouraged to hear that, and I know you're going to talk about it further, that the existing platform of Acela helps people kind of do that with some consistency, person to person, department to department, it sounds like.
That is what we're working on right now. It does provide that function currently, not to the degree we would like it to, hence the large effort we're engaged in right now. And I would say my system for getting back to people, and I've said it to many in this room, I'm sure, before 8 at lunch or after 5 is typically when I can, be contacted on the phone.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, right.
One more.
Sure.
Supervisor Hume?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just while we're stopped, first of all, I support this conversation. Everything's happening with that consolidation. That makes life so much easier. If things are at least locked down as read-only so that everybody can have access to view, but not necessarily change or amend. My question is on all of these, communications, obviously there's internal and then there's outward facing. For the outward facing, are we making those available in different languages for folks who may not have a grasp of English to be able to understand what their expectations, what our expectations of our own services are?
Good question. I know we have a lot of translation services that we use consistently. I can't say with specificity exactly what we've translated. I know a lot of our intake forms, I'm looking at Todd here, not yet. So we're working on it. One other thing I'll mention, along the accessibility front, we had new federal law that came into play this April. Although it got punted another year, we actually made the investment to revamp all of our websites to make them accessible. I know planning alone spent over 1,000 hours, I believe it was, just on our websites, making them accessible, to comply with new federal law. So a little bit different than your direct question. I know we do have translation services. We're working on getting more of those documents translated, but also making them accessible by way of ADA.
Great, thank you.
So I'll leave this slide with, this is the expectation. This is what customers should see and feel when they come to us. And we're pushing this out. This is the culture we're implementing this year. We're having active discussions exactly how we're embedding this into our teams and individuals, and we're having those discussions all the time. So turning now to 2026, there's a lot going on this year. Actually, you did some stuff just today that is on my list. So just a quick highlight of some things we've already achieved in 2026, being it May now. We launched our Customer Service Awards for staff, which I'd mentioned before. We started that back in February to acknowledge staff that are living the 4 pillars that we created together as a staff team. We increased the efficiency of what are called skip and bold applications. So these are statewide programs that offer customers the ability to finance fees or infrastructure. We had a request from our customers to rely on technically approved improvement plans to bid those out. It's something a few other jurisdictions were doing. Long story short, we made that change and it's shaving months off the process, which again is extremely helpful when time is money. We also formalized some policy streamlining around developer reimbursements, as well as our water agency credit reimbursement program. Again, these are very wonky things, but it means two things. Time is money, so getting things done quicker, and money is money, so making sure that the credits that developers are provided for infrastructure that they built is more commensurate with the expenditure that they outlaid. I'll also say we were just at a celebration last night on the Water Forum. So some of you, I'm sure all of you know to some degree, back in 2000, there was a grand bargain struck between environmentalists, the development community, public agencies, et cetera, about water in the lower American River. And that process was just renegotiated in the last few years and signed last night. So that is of huge benefit to everything we're talking about here, with the co-equal objectives of safe and healthy water for habitat and fish, as well as for people. So just happy to be with the team last night celebrating, and thank you to the chair for being there as well. So a few things I wanted to highlight by way of slides. So this is actually a Matthew special here, and I'll say this is one of the most exciting things in the last number of months for me. This is going to sound weird because I had absolutely no idea it was happening. It's something that Matthew and others decided needed to be done and just did it. They didn't ask for permission, they just made it happen, which is exactly the culture we want to see. So what they did was created what we call our land use regulation library, and this is online and live now. So all those different plans on the left-hand side, general plans, SPAs, zoning codes, et cetera, normally, if you wanted to figure out, hey, I want to build an ADU, what are the regulations? You'd have to dig through a number of those documents to figure out where does language around ADUs live in those documents? What are the rules to the game? So Matthew, being a genius Stanford grad, and I'm sure some other things, employed a little bit of AI and created this searchable website. So this is an example. I just threw an accessory dwelling unit. So you search and you can see in the zoning code, in the general plan, and all these different regulatory documents where the code and policy language is related to that topic. So it just streamlines what is otherwise pouring through hundreds or thousands of pages. So I thought that was an awesome example of just taking an initiative and making something happen.
Supervisor Serna.
Thank you, Chair. So on that subject, probably the most extensive alphabet soup in all of county land probably resides in planning. Yes. And I say that affectionately as a planner, right? So, but we have customers that don't speak planner necessarily, and they may not be familiar with acronyms. They may not be familiar with nomenclature. ADU, good example. So is this a living document or a living platform so that it can be shaped into the future so that it recognizes maybe what someone says, I want to build a granny unit. Well, that's an ADU to a planner. So, is there a way to do that? Or is that something that people are giving thought to right now?
That's an excellent question I don't know the answer to. Do you know the answer to that, Mr. Creator? Okay. So I think that is a very great point, right? We sort of take some of this nomenclature for granted, and it's not how normal people speak. So I do think that is something worth looking into. Okay. So thank you for bringing that up. All right. Another internal thing we launched was a new intranet site for our entire development review team. So this allows us to capture sort of everything we're doing internally in one place. From all the materials from those quarterly meetings I talked about, all the customer service stuff we talked about, the MOUs that I had mentioned that exist between different departments and divisions, as well as a lot of tools necessary to do the job. And this is just a click down from that page. So again, a place to nominate your peers for customer service awards, a picture of Matthew receiving his customer service award, et cetera. One of the things we offer on this intranet page now is this org chart that we just launched, and this is Chelsea Bowman, who spent a ton of time on this internally, to answer a question we got a lot from staff, which is, I know that I need to talk to DOT about this thing or planning about this thing. I don't know who to call. I don't know who the right person is. So we created this searchable org chart for development staff for use by staff with people's pictures on it, so you know who you're talking about, as well as a description of what their role is, what to contact me for, my office hours, how to get a hold of me. So now if I have a question, hey, I know I need to talk to somebody in DOT, I don't know who to talk to, I can search within this org chart and find out who works on that subject matter, put a name to a face, give them a call, ask to meet, et cetera. So this was to answer that question really from a staff level, again, trying to learn about who in the county does what and get better familiar with our overall process. And just a quick snapshot, that's a blown up version of the larger searchable database. It's clickable, expandable. It's been a great help.
One moment, Supervisor Kennedy.
Is that available to our staff?
I don't think it is currently.
Because we have those questions all the time. I'm
Yeah.
sure all five of us do.
Yes.
So.
I know there was sensitivity in making this public, and that's why I have the faces kind of at a scale here you can't see. It is for internal use, but happy to talk about that.
Thank you.
Supervisor Serna.
Thank you, Chair. So I assume, Dave, on the individual personnel boxes in the flow chart here, that if I saw correctly, there's like an arrow, double arrows in the bottom right-hand corner. So if you click on that, does that give you contact info for that individual or more detail about what that individual is responsible for?
Yes, yes. Okay. So my example is here. Again, I don't mind sort of sharing what I do.
Oh, I see. So this is what, if we did a pull down from the bottom right for you, this is what we'd see on the right?
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So this would be clicking on me. Also, if you click on me, it'll expand to show who reports to me, and that just goes down and down. So if you clicked on, Greg Mahoney on the bottom left, click on him, you'll see what he does, all that information off to the right, as well as who reports to him, and you can continue to expand it down through the organization. There's also a search function, though. I need to talk to somebody about ADUs or granny units or whatever, and that will pop up as well.
Supervisor Hume.
Thank you, Chair. I think this is fantastic, and it's something that, when we had the State of the County recently, and there were a lot of facts and figures being thrown, and I thought, one of the things that people don't realize is that the county is made up of a lot of people. And so when you have the literal org chart with pictures attached to it, and you start to tell that human story of all the folks who are doing the work behind the scenes that, don't get a time at the podium or don't get interface with the public or don't, maybe get the recognition that they would want or deserve. And then something like this comes along, and it's just a visual representation of that. And so are we doing this, or do we have plans to do this through more departments than just community development?
Right now, at least my discussions have only been internal to development, and it really isn't even across my entire agency. It was really specific to development-related staff because, again, our goal was to, I'll just use my example. When I was a planner 20-something years ago, I knew my role in the process really well. I had very little understanding of what came before or after me. Also, I knew a couple people, say, and again, DOT, for example, but I didn't know who exactly did what in that department. It was a department that lived outside of this building that I interacted with on occasion. So this was to start building that sense of who does what and the larger perspective of the process as a whole and broadening people's horizons. And this is one example of many where we're offering cross-training, and we launched a thing we called Lunch and Learns. Once a month, we have staff provide a presentation at lunchtime, optional, where DOT did one on their traffic operation control center. And if you're interested in learning about that, you can jump on while you're eating your lunch and learn about that subject. So it's just, again, anything we can do to broaden people's horizons and understand that larger process.
Agree wholeheartedly. And then back to specifically like this visual representation, within ChatGPT or other AI platforms, you go, make me an action figure or whatever, and it shows a little person, right? Like there is technology that is becoming increasingly available that can simplify this work, where as long as we have a likeness of the employee, we can have a standardized representation of how they fit in the organization.
Yeah, and I think what makes this effort a bit unique was what you see off on the right-hand side there, where it is incumbent on staff to put in what they do in more layman's terms. Because if we just uploaded the job spec, it's so general that people aren't going to get a good flavor as to what that really means. Like, I need to talk to somebody about streetlights. Who do I talk to? So it is incumbent upon staff doing a good job individually, sort of fleshing that out to make sure it represents what they do and why people would want to contact them. So it is a bit of manual labor to get that right. All right, so 2026, upcoming. We're spending a lot of time on commercial corridors, and we're going to be in front of you hopefully later this year, at least on one occasion, if not multiple. So right now, both economic development and community development are partnering on an effort. I believe they'll be going out to RFP here soon to get a consultant on board to look at all of our corridors, with the larger effort being based on that analysis in this board's input. What one or two corridors do we really want to go all in on? We know that, and at least this is my recommendation and ultimately your decision, we have a lot of corridors. We've been doing a lot of good stuff, but if we want to really dive deep and really knock down some infrastructure constraints, some other things, and have the market respond with more development, what one or two corridors would we want to focus on? That's not to say we won't continue to do good work on other corridors, but again, set ourselves up to do that deep dive. And you may recall way back when we had an infill, we had a board retreat on infill development, and that was one of the strong recommendations from that panel, was to really focus, dive deep in one area where the market will respond. So that's what we're playing with now. We are also going to have extensive zoning code updates coming to you. So you just did one earlier. That was more to respond to state law. We did one back in February with housing element related amendments. I'm just going to run down the list here very quickly. These are all tentative dates. We have fix-it amendments coming in July. That's over 100 clarifications coming, interpretations, et cetera. Design review updates in August. More legislation updates, legislation-driven updates in August as well. Housing and infill amendments, that's a big one. That's one I'm probably most excited for in November. We have the North Watt Avenue specific plan in November, tiny home related amendments in November, and our first group of SPA and MPA amendments in December. So Todd and friends are going to be here a lot, processing a whole host of zoning code amendments, many of which your board has directed, some of which the state has required. All right. One other thing we're really focused on is extending our effort to external agencies. So your board's heard me talk a number of times. We control a portion of the development process internally, again, planning, DOT, building, water resources, but we also have to work with external agencies, sewer, fire, parks, the other 25 water purveyors, et cetera. So this year we're really focused on, I'll say, sort of spreading the word, right? Trying to get people at a leadership level bought into our effort here and being partners with us. So a great example was last year with Metro Fire. We had great conversations. I know some of you did with our leadership as well. We got that buy-in from a leadership level, and it led to the effort that we brought to you a few months ago, a fire code that had substantial changes that benefit everything we're talking about here. We've been having similar conversations with a couple other agencies. I actually have a meeting set with SMUD in a couple of weeks to bring them into the fold, or at least attempt to as well. So that is really a focus of mine in 2026. We spent the first 3 years really focused on ourselves. Now it's branching out. We'll have a number of fee updates coming your way this year, DOT as well as community development. In June, we'll be bringing to you a fee deferral item. Your board approved fee deferrals for affordable housing a few months ago. We'll be bringing back an item to consider extending that to all housing development, and that'll be in June. So rather than collecting fees at building permit, we would collect them closer to occupancy. We're going to be launching a new customer service survey this summer as well. We've done that annually in the past. We're revamping that and doing a deeper dive this year, with the goal being we would create a new baseline this summer and then retest a year later. That's something we're constantly doing, is trying to get feedback from our customers. All right. I know I'm going long here, so I'm going to skip ahead. One of the things we had talked about earlier was process pros, where we had the consultant come in, we mapped out a lot of our processes. After that, we asked staff that was dedicated to that process, based on what you did, mapping out our processes, trying to find where conflicts exist or points of issue, what are the top things you'd want to focus on the next year to solve for? Out of that was born what we called our process enhancement groups, formerly process improvement groups, but we changed that because the acronym was unfortunate. So our process enhancement groups are working on what you see here today. Just a few examples, identifying requirements, county requirements that often conflict when reviewing development projects. So oftentimes we'll see Department A and Department B both commenting on a project, but when you add those two things up, they don't necessarily work together. I wouldn't say that's often, but it happens, so clarifying that up front. A lot of intake improvements, making sure our forms make sense, are accessible to everybody that needs them, and enforce consistent intake standards, and then clarifying roles and responsibilities for staff and how to elevate issues. If staff from two departments can't agree, how do you more formally elevate that through our staff and our management to get decisions made timely? So this is going on right now as well, and you can see the people assigned to that on the right-hand side there. Now on to Acela, and this is the last big thing I want to talk about. You've heard me talk before. We last year brought Acela to the cloud. It was formerly an on-premises version that lived on servers somewhere in a closet somewhere. It's now on the cloud. So what that means, you've heard me before say we used to be on version 7 and we upgraded to version 22. Being on the cloud means we don't have to update it anymore. It just happens automatically in the background, which is great. We also created a lot of tools for Acela. You'll see here off to the right-hand side, that's a video that shows customers, citizens, how to use Acela. We have about 11,000 views so far, so somebody hopefully is finding benefit from those tools, and we plan to do more of that in the future. We also launched our new building module in Acela. So Acela is essentially a number of different modules that add up to a larger system that controls everything we do related to development here in the county. So we launched building phase 1 last year. We're working right now on building phase 2, planning phase 1, hopefully this summer, surveys, civil improvement plans. This is a massive effort rolling into 2026, and it will bleed into 2027. I want to do it fast, but I also really want to do it right. And that's something I think 20 years ago, at least selfishly, I wish we would have done it a bit different when I was here at the time. We're making those changes now. It is taking longer than we had hoped because of that migration to the cloud that took a lot of time and sort of sidelined us for a bit, but we're making great progress right now. We also created what we call our Acela Governance Charter. This sort of dictates exactly how we're going to use Acela, who does what we want to see in terms of improvements. We also created this governance structure. So at the bottom, those are staff assigned to each of those modules. In the middle, we have a subset of those staff called the solutions team to make sure that when we're working on the planning module, what they're doing there works for DOT staff and works for water resources staff. So the solutions team ensures that those conversations are happening across function and across modules. And then the steering committee includes myself and some others to make executive decisions when necessary. So that is what is guiding our effort right now, those two documents. You're not supposed to be able to read this one either. So I had talked about the Process Pros efforts before, taking sort of that first cut at mapping out our processes. We're now leaning on that work and refining it further through Acela. So our DTEC staff has been a tremendous help here. We have a new person on board who specializes in this very thing. So what you see here is a process. We don't need to get into the weeds. The blue means something that will be automated in Acela. So at the end of the day, we're going to have the process that stands today and the process that we want in the future. Acela will be built around the latter. So this isn't just about digitizing what we've always done. It's about finding improvements in our processes and making sure we build Acela around that optimized version of the process, not just cutting and pasting what we've done for the last 30 years. Does that make sense? All right. This is the goal at the end. We don't have this ability right now. We want this ability. We will have this ability at the end to get a ton of metrics out of Acela. It just wasn't set up in a way long ago to get this kind of data out of it. We're going to be able to pull data both ourselves as staff, managers, supervisors, for you, for us, as well as have public-facing portals that show data as well. So that is the end goal. I threw this in here. This is, I would say, development process adjacent. So when Matt Satow got here as Director of Water Resources, he noticed that our injuries, our first aids, our vehicle accidents were trending very much in the wrong direction. And keeping our staff safe is part of everything we do, including development. We have building inspectors, construction managers out in the field every day doing work in the right-of-way on private property. Keeping them safe is important, drainage workers, et cetera. So Matt took the initiative in his department to change that trajectory through training, through talking about it, constantly setting new goals. And what you see here is a comparison first quarter over the years. That trajectory has changed significantly in the last 2 years. We've now expanded his effort across the entire community services agency. So we're meeting on a monthly basis to review accidents, see what we could have done differently to prevent it, and sharing that information out across all of our departments. So I was just really excited about this. Keeping our staff safe is important, and just really loved what Matt sort of spearheaded that we're now extending out to our entire agency. Last thing I wanted to mention, we're moving into a new building. We moved into a new building, I think formally, completely, now, yes? Yeah. So we used to be community development in a number of different buildings across the county. We just leased a new building a couple of years ago. We just completed moving in. It's at 9800 Gady. So this is a new lease in a much nicer building, and we are saving a bunch of money. I won't get into the background as to why that is, but we tried to stay where we were and had a, it doesn't matter, I won't get into that. We are saving money and in a much nicer building and consolidated many disparate functions into one location. I already heard feedback from one staff person that said, I've been working with this other person for years through email and phone calls. I met them face to face for the first time, and they were excited about that. So this will be a much nicer front counter for our customers to do work, but then also provide for some of those intentional collisions between staff that otherwise really haven't had a chance to work with each other in person as much previously. Okay, so with that, just wanted to say a thank you to the board for your leadership on this. You all being lockstep on this has been a tremendous help. That resolution is still our North Star for everything that we're doing. And to our staff, I mean, I guess the larger question is what we're doing working? And I still can't show you the metrics I want to show you because Acela just doesn't produce them yet, but that is the goal. But a lot of it, anecdotally, I think it's clear it is. We were just recognized by the BIA as the county in our group with the Friends of Housing Award a couple of months ago. Just heard that our planning staff is being recognized, I think this month, by the American Planning Association for excellence. We have American Public Works Association recognizing 3 of our managers, at least one of whom was here, Mickey. So that is happening next week as well at a dinner. So we are being recognized for our very good work here, and that comes from your leadership. And also David just being an absolute supporter of mine. I love that he is interested in this stuff. This doesn't interest everybody, but he's been an absolute sponge on this and tolerates me every time I jump up in our meetings and start pointing to maps, which I appreciate as well. Lastly, I'll mention 2 things just from this last week. One, Greg Mahoney, our chief building official, went to a meeting with the realtors. They wanted to learn more about our ADU process. The largest ADU builder in the region said we are the best jurisdiction to work with. Their last number of applications were approved in a single round of plan check. So that was their feedback to Greg relative to his function. I'll also say David got an email last week as well, and I'm going to read just a couple lines to you. This is also building staff related. I want to commend the Assessor's Office and Community Development, especially building, for their assistance in sorting out an issue in about 15 minutes that the city of blank could not do in 3 months. I'm very pleased that you actually have people who answer the phone with a smile, even though I can't see it, and find solutions. Thanks for having this attitude, as from being in business for over 40 years, I know it comes from the top down. So thank you for that, and thank you to staff again. This is a huge lift. Everything, most of what I talked about is above and beyond all the other application stuff they're doing, their capital project stuff. So this is an investment in the future, and I do think it's paying off. So with that, happy to answer any other questions.
So you asked one of the questions, is it working? Well, I can tell you that our community partners, and as I mentioned earlier, have so many positive things to say about how Sacramento County does business. And having been employed with an organization that went through many of these, I can tell your staff that I do appreciate the work that they have gone through, and that I have a personal understanding that it is a paradigm shift, but it's a paradigm shift in the positive. And yes, it is incredibly grueling, but as you mentioned, it is a long-term investment into the organization. Supervisor Kennedy? Oops,
Thank you, Chair.
Sorry.
A few things. First, overall, the chair spoke earlier about we all have our own touch points and what makes us tear up and cry, and you just did me. This is amazing work. I mean, all of you that have been working on this, it's far beyond where I thought we would be already. You just rattled off skip and bold like it's something that, well, of course, 10 years ago I had very, very unfortunate meetings with county staff about all the reasons why we can't do it, and now you just said, all right. Just the whole attitude when, and not just yourself, but everybody that's involved. I got a little concerned when we started this because the words culture change were starting to become too clichéic around here. Incredibly important, incredibly needed, but you start using a phrase too much and it loses its impact and its meaning. That hasn't happened here. I'm seeing continual culture change, and I appreciate that. The cross-jurisdictional collaboration, the work you did with Metro Fire, you're talking about working with SMUD, incredibly important because we're not masters of our own domain. We control a part of it, and the more we can do that, the better we will be. So kudos to doing that. Specifically on Acela, now, is this, because you keep mentioning that it's kind of evolving and not where you want it to be, and where, is this an off-the-shelf product, or did we design it, or is it a hybrid?
So I'm going to have to dig way back into my memory in the early 2000s when we shifted from what we called ProdComp, which was a black screen with green text that you tabbed through, to Acela. And it is an off-the-shelf product that was customized back then and frankly was used in a way that it wasn't entirely intended to be back then. So we're essentially going back to the drawing board and modifying it to use it how it was intended to be used from the get-go. That's the way I would explain it. I'm sure people way back when had great reasons to set it up the way they did, but making these changes unlocks a lot of the data that we had talked about, unlocks the more real-time management that we talked about, sort of where the ball is and where it moves next. So it is sort of a hybrid, clearly off the shelf. Number of jurisdictions use Acela, probably the most popular software for this function out there, but it has been modified to our needs.
And is the function of Acela a tool for staff, or is it a tool for our customers, or both?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
And is it all customers? Because, for example, I meet with the BIA, they talk about Acela.
Yeah.
You know, I meet with the guy who's, building an addition to his house. He doesn't know what the heck Acela is,
Yeah.
So is it for across the...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And how's the guy building the extension on his house? How is he learning about this? I mean, are you telling him when he comes to the counter, or...
So it's a way to, you go online to fill out the information for your re-roof permit, right? All the way to a large subdivision. So it is the way that customers apply to the county and the way that we track everything through the process.
Okay. And then just a minor thing, I don't know if this is possible, but I would suggest you consider we have the Acela Citizen Online Portal maybe that could be the Acela customer online portal, just a small minor suggestion.
Yeah, and that is something that Acela promises is coming very, very shortly. They have a version of it, but they're upgrading it now. That's the beauty of being in the cloud. When they push out those updates, we'll be able to get them in more real time. So we are told that this year that new customer-facing portal will be available to us and be much easier for folks to use.
So finally, and this, you can put this under, thanks a lot, what have you done for me lately? I remember way back when I was involved with the city of blank, and we were, and we were the premier agency to do business with. The county wasn't. And then it switched, and then it switched again, and now we've switched so that I'm hearing everywhere that, quite frankly, they'd rather do business with the county of Sacramento than the city of blank. And so I guess here's my cautionary tale. This is processes that in a project that it's going to take constant monitoring. It's going to take constant evaluation and adapting. It's not something that you'll ever be done with.
Correct.
So how do you see that happening in the future?
We talk about that very thing. This is not a project with a start and an end.
Yeah.
It's continuous improvement. And frankly, that shouldn't be unique to this.
Right.
I mean, we do that all across the county, right? So it is that very thing. It is an initiative without end. We complete things, and then we move on to the next. But we're going to continue to push this. And I have a staff person I talked to a couple of years ago when we started this, and I knew him from a long time ago when I worked for the county before. And he was very honest with me and said, hey, when you came back and you started this thing, a lot of us were wondering for the first 6, 9, 12 months, is this just another flash in the pan?
Right.
Mm-hmm. And he was very honest. And I appreciated that because I knew that's exactly what people would be thinking. It takes that momentum and sustained effort to prove that this is not just a thing that we're doing for a finite amount of time. It is who we are, and we're going to continue to do it. And it is continuous change and continuous improvement. So I think we've gotten to that point. But that's sort of my mantra across the county spectrum, not just development. We're looking, we brought up safety today, right? Again, tangential to this, but that is sort of a sea change. That is not just we started this thing and we're going to end it next year and now we're better. It requires that constant push.
Good. Thank you, Dave. Thank you to all of you who were involved in this. Really phenomenal, amazing work. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you, and thank you, Supervisor Kennedy, for the points. I couldn't agree more with most of them. So first, before I get into my substantive comments, just one, is Todd moving out to that new center out there on Gate? No?
He is not. He will still be accessible.
I just want to know if I
you
can
in this
lift up the
building.
blinds in my office, because he can just see right into my office. It makes me very nervous. And then number two, Ron, I noticed that Lupe's picture is not on that flow chart. So can we get that on there, please?
I know a photographer.
Perfect. Yeah, here we go. So Dave, also, it is remarkable what you have accomplished. And, the changes to the process, the standards, the structure, the staffing, but it all begins and ends with the culture change. And that is your leadership. You are setting the tone. And as I listen to you talk, it's remarkable. It's a remarkable testament to your leadership that you give all the credit to your staff and everybody else. So I just want to acknowledge that, Dave, and your leadership has been amazing in this process. And it is also interesting to kind of get back to something Supervisor Kennedy said, how when I was initially running for office, I heard the same things, how the county was such a great place to do business, and then it became a terrible place to do business, and now it's always been, the focus in this county has always been on the greenfield development. We have never had the focus on the infill areas in these unincorporated areas. Certainly not that I haven't seen in my lifetime, not to this degree, not to this level of intentionality. And I think that is so important because we're the largest land use authority by population in Northern California. And, we're really acting like it now through this process and the remarkable things that you've done. So a few questions I had on what we're doing, especially and a few comments on what you're doing in 2026. First of all, with the commercial corridors, I think that is so important and so important to focus it. But I like your comments, Dave. That doesn't mean we're leaving any of these corridors behind. But also something you brought up to me is, hey, we may want to focus on a corridor that is already kind of well established and in a good place to kind of jump off. They already have some attention, some investment. And I think we have P-bids along several of these corridors that are going to be really good partners, because that shows you already have a built-in, really strong small business support along that corridor. So I know you're already keeping that in mind. I just want to make that comment. When it comes to I love that you use the term development review process adjacent kind of steps. And I think about that a lot. And I mentioned this from the dais. In terms of some of these development review process adjacent either departments or efforts, can you talk about maybe are they integrated into it? And I'm talking things like not DOT from a project perspective, but from a, hey, if we're going to be looking at a commercial corridor, we need to make sure the roads are in good shape in that corridor. Engaging code enforcement, making sure we are creating conditions in these areas where they are places that people will want to do business, will want to come forward with and look at it for a housing project. Can you talk a little bit about some of those discussions or thoughts?
Yeah, I think as to the infill corridors generally, I failed to mention we hired our new infill coordinator, Jessie Shen, and she's developed a coordinating council of infill developers of, I think we have, a couple dozen now? 20 different infill developers helping to advise everything we're doing. Because to your earlier point, at least my thought is, and we'll test that with this board and maybe later this year, if we're going to really dive deep into a corridor or two, the whole goal is to get stuff built. So picking a corridor or two where we believe the market will respond. Is it truly just that sewer deficiency or these other things that if we fixed, would the market actually respond to those changes and start building? Or not. So that is one of the tests for me that we'll have a more robust discussion about with the board later. But to your larger point, yeah, we're having those conversations quite a bit. I think that is key to the larger corridor strategy, because yes, our recommendation will be some version of let's dive really deep into a corridor or two, let's solve for some infrastructure deficiencies on a level we maybe haven't before. But let's continue to do a lot on the rest of the corridors. Code enforcement is a huge example there. We've had recent discussions about making sure we're coordinating street improvements with underground utility improvements, so we're not sawing up a roadway, prematurely right after it's been overlaid. So we have a lot of those conversations, and fortunately, a lot of that is within our direct purview here, so we're meeting constantly about those issues.
Great. I appreciate hearing that, because so much of what you do is reactive to an application, for instance. I'm talking about kind of setting the table, creating conditions where people want to come and bring their projects here.
And you will be we are bringing a code enforcement workshop to your board in June, so we'll have a much more robust conversation about that.
Great. Okay, a couple other little points I had here on so you talked about the postmortem, and I know you get sick and tired of hearing from me just because of all the issues in District 3. But I like that postmortem idea. I also like the idea of maybe not just limiting it to county projects, but also doing a postmortem on maybe a sampling of other projects. After the thing is done, okay, let's go back and look at this. Where did some issues pop up along the way, and use that, obviously, as to guide improvements with other projects. So just something to consider. I know we do it, but we kind of do it ad hoc. Another thing I want to ask you about, Dave, I don't know if you mentioned it specifically, but you mentioned engaging with infill developers. Are you continuing to do formal, either forums or meetings or convenings with some of these smaller infill developers to hear from them and educate them? Okay, so we're continuing to do those formal efforts. And I think, in my travels throughout District 3 anyway, constantly coming across a small infill developer or someone who wants to get into the business, or a broker representing one of them. I think having, maybe not this one because this is more about the culture, but having something like this for me to be able to give out is really great, is really, really valuable. And you have, some other, but just these, just with the culture changes, other things, little cards like this. And because, as you know, I asked for, I gave some talks at SAR and other places, and a lot of those talking points are not updated with the most recent things we're doing and what we're doing next year. And so that's really hopeful, I think, for all of us to have the most updated talking points so we can continue to reinforce your message in everybody we interact with. And then let's see, I think one other thing. No, I think that was it. I'll just stop there. But just, yeah, I appreciate what you're doing. It is. I think it's also really important for members of the public who live in the unincorporated areas in particular to know the efforts the county is undertaking to improve conditions, increase our housing capacity, and just make life better in unincorporated Sacramento County in general. So thank you, Dave, and thank your entire team, everybody who's working directly on it, and everybody who is adjacent to it in the county as well.
Supervisor Cerna.
Thank you, Chair. So I too am extremely impressed, Dave, with the substance of the presentation, and want to extend my thanks and congratulations to your entire team. One part of the presentation that you didn't really touch on, and maybe it's because it's maybe too obvious, but I'll say it anyways. But I'm hopeful, regardless of the condition of the budget, that these changes that have, some of which have been implemented completely and some of which are in process, I hope we do some internal kind of perspective, or have an internal perspective on the value of it, not just as it relates to the customer. Of course, the customer is, that's the principal audience that you're constantly staying focused on, rightfully so. And it's great to be known as the place to do business. Can't agree more with all of that. However, I think, especially as our planning director knows, when we're looking for people to begin their careers here, or even to take lateral moves from other jurisdictions, I think a lot of what you've explained here today, and then what will ultimately be achieved through some of these measures. If I'm coming out of Cal Poly, as a freshly minted planning degree recipient, and I'm looking around at various jurisdictions where I might want to enter the workforce as a professional planner, obviously in the public sector, I'm going to be looking at kind of what's the environment like? What is the seriousness with which the department heads take their responsibilities as my direct managers or direct reports? What's that environment like in terms of how do we measure achievement? How do we goal set? So I think there's just a great deal of value in all of this initiative that is inward facing as much as it is outward facing, that I think bodes well for the future of all the services under your watch, in terms of really continuing to recruit and retain quality professionals that really take their jobs seriously, that really have the right level of respect for customer service. So I would hope that that doesn't get lost or set as a footnote to any of this. I think it should be as much front and center as it is the outward-facing part of it.
I agree, and we have talked about sharing things like the resolution, now like the customer service information we presented today, with people applying for jobs or people that we're extending job offers to, hopefully to excite them, but at the very least give them a sense of who we are, right? And if you want to join the team, these are the expectations. And typically if the hire is at a high enough level, I'm having those conversations directly along with others on the team to say these are the expectations of the county, of our larger team, and of you specifically, and just being very clear that if you want this job, if you take this job, this is what we would like to see from you and what you'll be a part of. And I know that we are generally just eyeing culture, again, not to use that word too much, but through our recruitment and hiring process much more now. I think it was Ron who spearheaded every single, having somebody on each individual panel reviewing for that specific thing when we're hiring for folks. It's not about just who's most expert, who's had most time in the seat. It's can you live and breathe this stuff? This is who we want to be. And yes, we want experts, but we want leadership. We want decision making. We want buy-in to this. So that's what we're looking for when we're promoting people and hiring new people.
And room for professional growth.
Yes, and providing much more training than we have in the past. I think we still have catch up to do from the Great Recession on that front.
Great. Congratulations. This is
Thank
a
you.
job
Thank
well
you
done.
for your leadership.
Thank you.
David, can I just elaborate a little bit on Supervisor Cerna's comment? Is that it's pretty amazing because you have Matthew who came in and it looks like he just graduated from high school, but I know he didn't. But so what's really neat is the process really allows Matthew to come in and really be free to enhance processes. And exactly what he did is he took the initiative to do something incredibly valuable to the organization. Have you thought about potentially as an investment from the county to send some of your staff through the process where they become like the green belt, yellow belt, incorporated into their work life where the county makes an investment in that as educational?
We've talked a lot about cross-training for sure. And the real need that we've heard from staff, although that could be of great benefit too, the real need that we've heard in sort of this near-term time frame is learning more about the rest of our process that they're not involved in and what happens from our customers' perspective that we at the county really don't see through the application process. So what does somebody that's trying to build something have to do to pull together financing? What are they dealing with outside of our walls to pull off a project? So that's what we've been focused on lately is really helping people understand the larger building and development realm, both internal to the county and outside of it. But by way of those process improvements, I think it was of great benefit to have that very thing happen in mapping out our processes. And that's now being used when we're retooling Acela and doing that further mapping. It's really painful stuff. I mean, you saw one of those process charts, but it's extremely valuable to know exactly how the machine works, right? So now we're literally going to have blueprints to how the machine works that we can share with staff when they're coming on board. This is the process that you're in charge of. Here's exactly how it works. And customers, here's the process that you should expect when you come in the door.
Supervisor Hugh? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I think it's clear, obviously, you've been an avid supporter and champion of this effort and recognize that it's arduous, it's ongoing, and it requires diligence and reflection and the continuous improvement that you spoke of. I think that award that's on the screen was very well deserved. You have made great strides. The irony is that if the blank city council got their values aligned, they could direct staff to be doing the same thing and probably take the lead in short order because cities by their very nature are more nimble than the county, which I tell people is like a container ship. It's meant to carry a very heavy load in one direction at a constant speed. And so whenever you sort of throw these other things into the mix, it becomes a little bit more obvious how much culture, in a bad way, builds up over time. And I say that without any disparagement or being pejorative of staff, because the work is hard and it's ongoing and it keeps coming. And it reminds me of the I Love Lucy skit where she's working on the chocolate assembly line, and the chocolates keep coming and all of a sudden she starts throwing them in her mouth and tucking them in her pockets and flipping them off the conveyor, but whatever she can do to appear like she's keeping up. And that's what, folks in our various departments put up with on the daily. And so it becomes a grind and it becomes something you can get a little bit jaded about. But for the people on the other side, this may be the most important thing in their life that they're going through right now. Whether it is an immense amount of capital that they're about to outlay on a large development project, whether it is trying to get an ADU built for their ailing mother-in-law, whether it is, some of the social service programs and their lifeline services. And so when we think about that in that term, then I think it shifts a little bit from just being about culture, and it starts being about morale. And you want people to feel excited about the work that they're doing, excited about the difference that they're making. And, you know, one of the things that I like to say is that one measure of wisdom is those who plant trees under whose shade they'll never sit. And it's easy to lose sight of that sort of magnitude of significance of some of the things that we do is that we are making, or at least I believe, our goal is to make life easier for those that have to interact with their government, you know, at very critical times in their lives. And all of this goes towards that. All of this is ongoing. There's never a box to be checked. But I just want to say congratulations on the fact that at least we had a software program chosen over 20 years ago that is still in existence, still has a company, and still can be, you know, adapted and made better. Yeah, exactly. Started that way. And so just keep up the good work, expand it. You know, community development is one of the most outward-facing departments for the county, at least on a process standpoint. But obviously, this is something that hopefully will start to spread and continue on for many years to come. But thank you for the effort, and thank everybody in the team for the work that's being done.
David Villanueva.
Thank you, Supervisor. I just wanted to take a moment, and Dave said this once before, but just to thank each of one of you. We couldn't do, or Dave couldn't do what he is doing without the support of the board and continuing to support the initiatives and continuing to challenge us on everything we do. One of the things, simple things like the presentations that Matt did today and Emma did today, you allowed them to come in here, allowed them to learn how to do this. I love the quote about the stigma and concerns about that. That's a great, it's very true. But the staff that are coming up here and doing it for the first time, you joke with them, you smile at them, you pay attention to them, and it goes a long ways to build support that this isn't a big scary room to come into. So I appreciate all that. I've also I've been to your community meetings and I've talked to other people, and I continually hear that you are advocates for this process. When people come in and say that there's a problem with your permitting issue or your problem with your this, I hear your response to them and reinforcing that the efforts that we're doing and the efforts that Dave is doing is really moving the needle. The needle that he showed that he's up to 91, I think it was, of the implementation portions is great to see. But again, just thanking each one of you for being that reinforcement and to allowing the folks to come in here. Also, I'd like to thank the department heads and the efforts that they do and their teams. They do a wonderful job. But more importantly, and most importantly, you know, Dave is very humble in his efforts. He's constantly, his joke about getting up and pointing to maps. I'm sure everybody behind me right now is smiling because at every meeting we have, Dave feels an opportunity to go up and point to maps and explain exactly what he's working on and sharing with us and inspiring all of us to continue to work in that direction. So thank you, Dave, for your effort and everything that you do, and thank you to the team of the Community Services Agency. So thank you very much for the time.
Dave, I have just a couple of questions because this comes at a perfect timing. You know, we have our budget sessions coming up next month, and one of the asks that I had was, and I don't ask for a lot, but it was to get a consultant, a lean methodology consultant who can bring in under homeless services. And so my question is, what drove you to take on lean methodology into your department? Like, what was that pivotal point? And secondly, do you know offhand the financial cost to your department?
Cost was, I would say the cost of the contract was not the most significant part of the investment. It was the cost of the staff time associated with the effort was massive. Mm-hmm. What drove us to that is really trying to better understand what our processes currently are, sort of how the applications change hands as they progress through the county, and trying to find points of conflict or efficiencies in that process, or in those processes. I would say it was a challenging effort for sure. I wouldn't say it was a perfect effort. There were even challenges after the fact, and we're continuing to refine that. I think it was a worthwhile effort for us because of our processes being so interlinked between different departments and divisions, again, both inside and outside the county. I don't feel like I'm in any place to opine as to how that might apply or not elsewhere, I just know that we are so process-driven, like technically with an application moving to different hands, that it was something we thought important to do.
Mm-hmm. So you don't know offhand what the financial impact was?
I think Troy, do you recall 100 grand, 100?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
125, 150. Yeah. Again, I think the amount of staff time we spent, and Wendy can attest to that, probably dwarfed that number.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, thank you. Well, thank you. There are no more comments or questions up here, so thank you for the presentation.
Thank you for your leadership, and thank you to staff. You guys are the ones making it happen. Thank you.
And we do have
Next item.
we
you
do
have some
one
public
public
comments.
speaker on that item, Parker Evans.
Good afternoon, Parker.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Supervisors. My name is Parker Evans. I'm the Acquisitions Manager for Mutual Housing California, nonprofit affordable housing developer based here in Sacramento. Really want to thank staff for their work on this item and making Sacramento County a place where it's so much easier to get things done. Staff culture is really critical in developing an agency that's really trying to get to yes, and an agency that sees affordable housing developers like Mutual Housing as partners in advancing the county's goals. Setting that tone starts with you guys as the supervisors and your support for affordable housing, but I especially want to thank Dave DeFonte and Troy Givens for their willingness to listen and their genuine commitment to process improvements. Mutual Housing's looking forward to building more affordable housing in Sacramento County. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next item, please.
Next item, 54, Public Safety and Justice Agency Annual Update, including jail population plans and Public Safety and Justice Agency Advisory Committee.
Good afternoon, Chair, Board of Supervisors. I am Eric Jones, Deputy County Executive for Public Safety and Justice. And so I just want to congratulate that team too. And it's so hard to follow an act like that. I didn't get any awards. I don't have any swag. So my presentation is just going to be a little bit different today. I'm sure you understand. So yes, I'm giving my annual update on the Public Safety and Justice Agency. So we'll get right into what we're going to cover today. And there's quite a bit of material, so I'll probably go along at a fairly quick pace, but of course ask questions and slow it down if that's your preference. Here's the purpose of today's presentation: an overview of Public Safety and Justice Agency, so I'll be referring it to as PSJA, update on the May's consent decree progress, and we do have County Counsel Monica Robinson present if there are any questions that are better answered by counsel, as well as Deputy County Executive Siobhan Katari here, because there's a lot of overlap between our agencies as well. You'll hear an update on our jail population reduction plan, so I'll get to introduce for a few slides Management Analyst Laura Foster, who is here, and then a review of the jail planning project, followed by brief discussion on the community engagement, including the advisory committee. So the PSJA was established by the Board of Supervisors in 2021, and prior to that, there was not a consolidated public safety component necessarily in the Office of County Executive, structurally speaking. So the PSJA has direct oversight over 4 departments, and those are, as you know, Coroner's Office, Probation, Public Defender, Conflict Criminal Defender. And then I am the liaison to the elected components of the criminal justice system, which is, is the sheriff and district attorney. And then I also serve as the liaison for Office of Inspector General, Superior Court, Criminal Justice Cabinet, Community Corrections Partnership. And then the work that we do at PSJA is informed by the advisory committee, which I will detail a little bit later. You've seen these before, but this is the vision and mission and then top goals of the PSJA since its inception. So it is to increase public safety while reducing negative outcomes, and then also the efficiencies and effectiveness around that core framework of shared safety. And then our top goals, again, remain better countywide data sharing among the justice partners, and then also to make that transparent and public-facing when we're ready to do that. And then, of course, improve compliance with the May's consent decree. The jail system, as you know, includes both the main jail and Rio Casunas Correctional Center, also known as RCCC. And so here's a history of the jail system. You've seen this or something very similar before. I'm only going to highlight a few things. Really, first here is just to show the age of both facilities. Converting RCCC in 1960 from an already old facility, the 1947 military facility. Main jail opened in 1989, and then Americans with Disabilities Act passed in 1990, so it was almost immediately out of compliance. And then also of note is that AB 109, and we've had this discussion here before, has really changed our county jail population. Again, these have been covered before and are part of your packets. So for this slide, I'll really highlight that in 2016, the county initiated efforts for this thing we call the Jail Population Reduction Plan with our systems partners, and you'll hear a little bit more about that plan shortly as well. An important, well, all of this is important, but a particular highlight here, because it's come up recently actually in a variety of discussions, is when adult correctional health moved from the sheriff's office under health services, and that was directed by the Board of Supervisors in 2018. Another key point is that in 2019, the county began negotiations with class counsel for the 6 remedial plans, and then 2020 was when the county officially entered into the federal consent decree. These are the remedial areas that you've seen before, and there are recent paring down between our county council and class council. There are 382 total provisions. That structure was actually updated just recently, and most of them relate to policies and practices, but some are related to space limitations. In 2022, the county entered into an MOA with class council around the needs for 2 frameworks. Those are the facility remediation, and the second framework is the jail population reduction plans. And in 2024, the board commissioned a peer review by a firm called CGL, which ultimately led to HMA, which is Health Management Associations, being selected to develop a jail system master plan. "55% of provisions within the May's consent decree are in substantial compliance. So this includes 60 provisions are on self-monitoring status as of now. And I believe County Council's done a great job in getting more and more into self-monitoring mode. For example, 23 were added in December of 2025, and then 5 more were added in February of, that should say 2026, February of 26, and that one was specifically around suicide prevention. So a court-appointed monitor must determine that a provision has reached substantial compliance to be able to put us on that self-monitoring. And the progress is real, but it can be considered uneven across some remedial plans. So there's been more progress made around areas, most recently about suicide prevention and restrictive housing. And we do have much more work around medical and mental health and ADA. It's very difficult work. It takes a little bit longer, and there are some facility restrictions that are a barrier to that. Here's some compliance highlights through December of 2025. One of the biggest here is the expansion of the intensive outpatient program and the acute psychiatric unit. You'll hear these terms IOP and APU. In the second MOU that was executed in September of last year, we agreed to expand the APU level. We also agreed to expand the IOP levels by a certain amount, and actually they were added ahead of schedule. So we feel like we're making some good progress around here. The next highlight is the 4th point here, the implementation of the Flex Nurse program, which my thanks to how much improved, really, the coordination has been continually improving between correctional health and the sheriff's office. This is one of many examples. Another one is that there is now real-time communication between custody staff and healthcare staff and better response times for care. This is just to highlight briefly the significant fiscal investments the county has made for the jail conditions work. Actually, since fiscal year 17-18. You'll see here the number showed when we originally got the data was 450. Actually, we now know that number is closer to 480, positions that have been added. I mean, estimated annual ongoing costs well exceed 90 million. These are all numbers you're aware of as well, though. And there's been numerous investments to programs and services that also support the population reduction efforts, as well as facility-related investments. So the jail population reduction plan is required by the memorandum of agreement that we signed in 2022. And there were originally 33 initiatives to reduce the jail population to manage it. And they were refined into these 6 strategies here that you've seen before. A little bit about our population trends. So there's what's known as the BSCC, the Board of State and Community Corrections, rated capacity. So they do those ratings for all correctional facilities up and down the state. Ours for both, we say the system, so it's both main jail and our CCC, is a little over 4,000. Over the past 10 years, the ADP, we call it the average daily population, ranged from a low of 2,900 roughly, but that was during COVID, to a high of a little over 4,000 in 2015. I'll just go right here to the Q1 2026 ADP is right now 3,234. I'll point out that despite these increases in ADP, there has been progress in many areas identified within the jail population reduction plan, and we do believe if we didn't have these components of the reduction plan, the ADP would be, I believe, significantly higher. So here's some things that we feel are working well and can likely be expanded or improved even more. So the first is reducing unnecessary bookings into the jail, and the second is reducing lengths of stay, both while also balancing public safety. So we're talking about reducing incarceration, finding alternatives for folks who really deserve and need help, but don't necessarily belong or need to be in the jail. So we need those alternatives. I'm also working with a lot of our area law enforcement agencies to take another look at, can we have alternative processing locations maybe where individuals don't necessarily have to come downtown to our main jail. I'll also point out we've increased the mobile crisis response by the use with CWRT and a co-response pilot with a couple police departments. We believe that can also help us manage the population and getting individuals the care that they need. These are some additional length of stay reductions that have positive impacts on our consent decree. We're also seeing improvements around service linkages for treatment, employment, and housing leading up to and following jail releases. And we have an example we would like to talk to you about. This new development. So this is where I'm going to ask Laura Foster, the management analyst, to introduce this topic, speak briefly, and then I'll come back. Thank you.
Hi, Laura.
Hi. Sorry, I don't have the same vertical as Eric does. It's all great. I'm on my tiptoes. Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Rodriguez and members of the board. My name is Laura Foster, and as Deputy County Executive Jones mentioned, I'm an analyst in his office, but I wear many hats around here. One of them is that I staff the Community Corrections Partnership for the county, and the Community Corrections Partnership agreed to serve as the Prop 47 local advisory board for the county, recognizing that there was a lot of overlap between the membership of that body, which includes criminal justice and social services partners, and also other community partners, including the school board and Sacramento Employment Training Agency. So I should be advancing my slide. There we go. So Prop 47 is a grant program that's offered by the state. There are 2 cohorts, Cohort 4 and Cohort 5, that Sacramento County agencies have been awarded. Cohort 4 is the ROAR program, or the Reentry Opportunities and Access to Resources. And then Cohort 5 is with the Sacramento Employment and Training Agency, and that's looking at some vocational training. But today I'll be talking about the ROAR program. So the ROAR program is the desire to pursue this grant came out of work by the Community Corrections Partnership Advisory Board and work by the Sheriff Community Review Commission. Both bodies were really concerned about individuals leaving the jail who needed additional supports to successfully transition back to the community. So ROAR is an $8 million grant over 3 years. It serves individuals who are justice involved, who have recent experience with our criminal justice system. And this program specifically targets those who are unhoused and living with behavioral health conditions. The program seeks to reduce recidivism or returns to custody and also seeks to improve access and participation in services. This program began operating on July 1st, 2025, and it acts as a pilot for some of the great work that's happening under the Cal-AIM Justice Involved initiative that's coming online in October and really helps staff to better understand the needs for pre- and post-release coordination. So to administer the ROAR program, there are a couple of different contracts that the county has. The first is with the Exodus Project. They provide care coordination, including initial assessments that happen in custody, and also pre-release coordination, transportation upon discharge to two different housing providers, and ongoing support services at release. This includes those staff who work directly in the jail 7 days a week, who can provide those assessments and help make those linkages happen. The Salvation Army is the primary shelter provider for this. There are 70 beds over at the Center of Hope on B Street, and they provide ongoing case management and supportive services geared towards employment and long-term housing stability. There's also Renew Hope, which does short-term housing. So in terms of preliminary outcomes, we do have 2 quarters worth of data here from July 1 to December 31st. I won't go through all of it, but just want to highlight that 1,200 people who were in custody received different assessments, and over 500 people, or nearly 500 people, enrolled in the program during those time periods. 150 of those came within 24 hours of release from jail, and that includes about 50 that were very, very late night releases, which continues to be a challenge. And then we have some data here that's through April 25th, but most recently, as of today, there's 240 or so active clients, and 92 of which are receiving housing services through this program. There's 17 now that have exited to permanent housing, and 23 who have moved to other supportive housing. And if anyone's interested in learning more about this work, the next Community Corrections Partnership meeting, which is also the Prop 47 Local Advisory Committee meeting, is June 4th, and we will have the Q1 2026 data at that time. So thank you so much. I'll turn it back over to Deputy County Executive Jones. Oh, see, maybe a
Thank you.
question.
No, I was just going to say thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura, and first time presenting to the Board of Supervisors.
Yay.
I thought she did a great job. Yes. Okay, so we've talked about progress. Now here I'd want to talk just a little bit about some of the barriers. So the jail population increase for Prop 36 reflects a period March 1st, 2025 through January 10th of 2026, and it includes a total of 3,065 bookings that include a Prop 36 offense. So essentially that's an average of 70 per week that they're processing through the main jail. We are having a difficulty to take the data set one step further and how many are just there perhaps for Prop 36, not multiple things. So we're still assessing that and analyzing it, but we are seeing an impact on our jail population from that. Also, the decisions surrounding really who is booked into jail and who stays in county jails, it's really led by our law enforcement agencies, right? So we have over 20 different law enforcement agencies that are booking folks that sometimes are in for 24 hours or less. And so that's, again, where we're going to want to sit back at the table on re-examining that, if that makes the most sense, and looking at different options. There's also charging decisions by the district attorney's office, screening criteria by the sheriff's office, but a lot of the release decisions are with the courts, right? So we work with the courts a lot through the Criminal Justice Committee and a variety of other areas.
One moment, Eric.
Yes.
Supervisor Kennedy.
Thank you, Chair. I was going to wait and ask at the end, but since you hit exactly on what I was going to talk about, and we just heard about the ROAR program, and one of the statements made about the ROAR program is that night releases are a challenge. So we're asked this all the time. Why are we releasing people at 3 o'clock in the morning with a Ziploc bag and their shoelaces in hand and saying go? and the answer I usually get from members of the sheriff's department, which I'm not saying it's wrong, but I don't understand it, maybe you can help me, is, it's the courts. It's the court's decision. We have no leeway in it. Could you explain that?
That's a majority of it, yes, Supervisor. So there are folks who, the judge has released or ordered their release, and the sheriff's office can't keep them any longer than they are able to get out. You've probably heard, too, the sheriff's office does, they attempt those service linkages for those who are getting out late at night, and those numbers have reduced. And also the reduction of night court that the court just recently rolled out, we think might better impact, or we might have fewer night releases because of the restructure of that as well. And so oftentimes it's because the sheriff's office really has no choice to do those certain late night.
Is that something that the judges are statutorily required to do, or is it just their discretion? I mean, do they understand that they're not helping the person by ordering their release in the middle of the night to wander?
We do have those discussions with the bench, just so we have, for example, at the Criminal Justice Committee, we do have those discussions. We have a variety of police departments and some electeds that are at those meetings as well to have some of those talks with the bench.
That was a very political answer, Eric. So what's their answer? I mean, we have the discussions. Well, what's their reasoning? What's their justification for?
I believe in many of the cases, they really don't have much discretion.
Okay.
Yes. That's probably a more succinct and to the point answer is my guess.
Okay. Thank you.
Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you, Supervisor Kennedy. I want to ask about that too, and I know there's some reason to hope, and we've seen those numbers decrease, but it's also very troubling to me. I'm just curious what the public defender has to say about it as well, because these are all in custodies who are represented by the public defender's office before the courts release them. I mean, couldn't they waive some time to stay in until the next morning? I mean, is the public defender involved in the discussion about this? And does the public defender acknowledge that this is probably not good for their client?
Yes, we actually, Siobhan chairs DCE Qatari. We've chaired together a couple meetings where we have all of those parties. And so we do, the public defender also wants the individuals to get the help and assistance they need and not be out in the middle of night if they don't have to be.
Okay. And then, the other, a question about the ROAR program. To what extent are the booking jurisdictions outside the city of Sacramento, are they working with the county on transporting folks back to the jurisdiction where they lived? And can you explain that a little bit of their involvement? And no? Siobhan? I don't like to see the shaking heads. That's not good.
So generally what happens is folks are offered transportation back either by the sheriff's department or the discharge staff. And then also the ROAR program will offer that. But it's not the jurisdictions that transport them there, not the law enforcement jurisdictions.
And then the underutilization of the CSUs. Can you flesh that out a little bit for me, Eric? What are you seeing there? What does that mean, and how could we improve that?
They're not being fully utilized. Right, so that's the crib, that's the mental health treatment center. There are a few others, and we've find that we're really going to have a better communication and providing cards and links to let them know, hey, these are options you have because we don't see them being fully utilized. And I think DCE Qatari has something to add.
Yeah, I'll just add, and you had asked earlier today about presentations back to the board about some of these programs that we're enrolling. We do feel like there is an opportunity to better work with our first responders so that they know what all of their options are. We've changed a lot of policies to make it much easier for triage to alternate destinations, as an example, to take folks directly to mental health treatment versus to the jail. And so we're creating a series of videos out of behavioral health for first responders that will allow them to understand what their best options are in terms of transporting folks. So that'll come to the board first, and then we'll take it on the road to train all of our other partners.
Because some of those alternatives, I mean, we obviously continue funding them, and they're great programs. And I just feel like, I think with law enforcement, oftentimes it's an educational thing, but they're still stuck in a mindset, well, we no longer have schmeck, So it's just jail. That's our only other option.
Correct,
So I
yeah.
think we have to. I think you and I have probably both been in on conversations where they're still under the assumption that they're very limited on what they can do, and they don't realize these other resources are out there. And I think a lot of officers out on the streets would much rather do this than spend their time going all the way downtown Sacramento where they're tied up for a few hours, right?
Correct. And as Eric mentioned earlier, CalAIM, justice-involved CalAIM, will roll out officially in October, and that will even bring more resources in terms of those stronger linkages as folks transition out.
We are excited about this. We just launched it and rolled it out as a jail population dashboard that we, the analysts and the department heads, find very helpful. You all have access to it as well. It's not live, it is updated quarterly, but you can really go through and navigate what does the jail population look like, who's being booked, who are they being booked by, what charges, how long are they staying. So it's a really robust dashboard, and that was part of our agreement also with class council to do something like that. There is the link there, so you can all take a look at that if you like, or your constituents, you can point them to this as well. The jail system master planning. So 2025, the board, you approved CGL, and that was also the actions that were taken, as you know, was the intake and health services facility, it was called. It was also dubbed sometimes the jail annex. That was suspended, so then so that CGL would take a look at that. Then it ultimately, through an expedited process, we went based on federal court direction. We contracted with HMA, which is a health management and associates. So I want to talk a little bit about the timeline. So we did agree to this timeline in federal court. So the plan is that by October 30th, the county will complete a written report that details, and you can see really what's being studied are the 4 categories here, which is inspection and assessment, inventory and analysis of existing county facilities, detailed jail population analysis, operation assessment, space planning assessments. There's a lot of work. And so as you're all aware, they're looking at what does this county's correctional system need, and then should there perhaps be any sort of capital improvement projects. I do want to give an update. Oh, actually the second one here is that by December 4th, we will have the county, with the input of the subject matter experts with the consent decree, will develop a recommendation to you as the board. I wanted to give an early update on the early work with the planning process with HMA that have so far established a few recommendations forming up. One is that HMA is projecting 20 years out for our county's needs, which does include overall population growth. But they're more importantly really examining the types of beds and what is the correct number of beds for our population. And then an acknowledgement that to bring up the main jail and our CCC, both of them together, to just good condition because of a lot of deferred maintenance and other issues that have occurred, likely would cost hundreds of millions of dollars. So those are some early revelations that HMA is starting to share with our policy group. Anything to add, Monica? Okay. So I have been directed to ensure we get community input throughout this entire facility planning process. I have mentioned this oversight committee that I work with, which includes DCE Fadal, DCE Qatari, myself, and the undersheriff. We also have Amanda Thomas as part of that group, and of course our county council to work this project all the way through and to make sure our group is informed by the community input. There's a number of ways that we're getting input on this jail planning process. Here are 3 commissions or committees, you're all aware of these. And I either am a commissioner on one, or I chair or lead, or a member in some fashion on all those. So we do have then specific that was done through resolution by the board when the Public Safety and Justice Agency was created, was to create an advisory committee. And the goal of this is to provide community voice into the dialogue. So we really, the primary get here is to get community voice on this discussion we're having around jail population and the importance of having those a variety of crime victims' voices, of those who have been incarcerated, who have loved ones, clergy. You can just see we have 15 different diverse backgrounds. And we also have at these meetings representatives from the majority of the public safety and justice agencies, as well as quite a few of health and human service agencies. So they're typically the department head or part of their executive team. And they're there also to hear directly from the community and interact with them. Sometimes we do breakout tables and things like that. So really, this just outlines the work that the advisory committee does. I won't go all over the detail here, but just know they are informing the work that we do. So the community engagement specific to the master planning effort, in January, we held an in-person listening session with 60 participants. We focused on these key areas here. Then in February of 2026, I held additional meetings with some entities that requested those. And then in April, I hosted a webinar to share the initial feedback we'd been receiving and respond to community questions. Interesting, through 130 registrants, 65 attendees, 22 public comments received. These are the areas, and we're doing a much bigger survey, which I'll talk about in a moment, but these are the areas of agreement that we've seen with a number of the folks being involved, and then these are areas of differing views, which are really what is the role of incarceration and a discussion around facility expansion or reduction. So as you can imagine, those are some areas of differing views between the groups and individuals we've been talking with. So here are the next steps in community engagement. This is the survey, and it is open until May 31st. I think you may have seen it. I encourage you to take it, send it to your constituents, because there is no cap on the amount of individuals taking the survey. Is that correct, Laura? Okay, good. So that is the information right there. We also have a flyer. If you're interested, we can have that sent to your offices as well. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
One moment. Siobhan Kathari.
Thank you. I needed to correct something I said earlier. So I made a statement, I believe, that the sheriff also transported people back to their communities, and that's not accurate. It is when they engage with the ROAR program. So thank you.
But just for clarification, there are programs, Exodus, that still perform that
correct
service?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. All right. Any questions, comments? Any public comments?
Yes, we do have two speakers on this item. First, Christopher Camillo Carbajal.
Thank you, Eric. Hi, Christopher.
Nice to see y'all again.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Do you mind if I take a minute to introduce myself?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Hi y'all, Christopher. I was here earlier. Y'all voted in favor of continuing to collaborate with ICE, so that's a big problem. Hopefully more dads don't die in Mexico or abroad. So yeah, but that's just a thing of we're not grounded in. But nonetheless, I'm going to start my public comment. Amidst county budget talks, what I want to name today is that we continue hearing a dangerous narrative repeated in these conversations, that the county does not have the power to meaningfully reduce harm inside the jail system. That is simply not true. The county has immense power. The county controls budgets, policy priorities, contracts, investments, and the systems that drive incarceration inside county. So when we talk about the MACE consent decree, the jail population reduction plans, or the correctional facility master planning processes, we need to be honest about what is actually happening here. This is not a question of whether solutions exist. The county's own data and planning documents have repeatedly shown that investing in housing, behavioral health care, treatment, prevention, diversion, and community-based services can reduce the jail population by hundreds of people without building or expanding jail infrastructure. The question is whether this county is willing to fully commit to that path, because right now we continue seeing enormous institutional energy directed towards sustaining and modernizing incarceration, while community systems that actually keep people safe remain underfunded and insufficiently scaled. And we also need to be honest about what is driving harm inside the jail. The suffering people are experiencing is not primarily caused by old buildings. Monitoring reports and lived experiences have made clear that the harm stem from staffing failures, medical neglect, isolation practices, institutional culture, and the trauma of incarceration itself. You cannot build your way out of these problems. And no matter how much money is invested into jail infrastructure, incarceration will never become therapeutic or healing. People are responding to the violence and trauma of containment itself. You cannot heal someone inside the same environment that's actually causing them harm. And we should remember that overwhelming majority of people inside the jail are on pretrial. 80% people who have not been convicted of any crime. I'm gonna continue my time. So if the county truly wants to comply with MAZE, improve outcomes, and reduce harm, then population reduction cannot remain secondary to facility planning. It must be the central strategy. This means real investments in community care, real investments in housing,
Christopher,
and
let's wrap it up.
Do you mind? Because I want to take my time to introduce myself. Wrap it up? Yeah, I will. Real investments in community care. Let's just say that. And I want to name that the sheriff is lying about late night releases. We are outside that jail multiple
Christopher,
nights.
you're beyond your time. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we will send you data about our
I would
releases.
appreciate that.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is AJ Albano.
Name's AJ Albano. I'm an organizer at Decarcerate Sacramento, resident of District 1. Regarding late night releases, we did an audit in Court Watch and in jail support outside of the jail. We tracked 10 people who were ordered release inside of court and then released outside of the jail. Average time from point of release or ordered release to point of release was 4 hours and 33 minutes. One person ordered release at 3:56 p.m. and actually released at 11:58 p.m. So they are lying, and we can show you the data. Effective jail population reduction is not a recommendation. It is necessary for compliance with the MAZE consent decree. And until enough effective measures are fully implemented to their impact and their impacts are sufficient, then we shouldn't be talking about building a new jail expansion or anything else, right? And Eric is also lying about the fact that there is a distinction between people either wanting to reduce the jail or expand it. When we went to the webinar, every public comment was against expansion, unanimously. Additionally, the California Supreme Court's decision in Kowalczyk confirmed what this community members have been saying for years. This is a new California Supreme Court ruling that Sacramento County's rates of pretrial detention are excessive. The public safety assessment tool that we use has been too often used to justify either pretrial detention or effective detention of people through unaffordable bail, despite the California Supreme Court confirming that there's legal right to release through retainable bail or non-financial conditions for most cases. County actors claim that they do not make release decisions, but judges can only impose conditions on those people that are actually available to them. So when probation, supervision, and restrictive monitoring are the overwhelming primary tools that this county offers, the only options available to those judges are varying degrees of surveillance and control. If instead this county invested to supportive services, including court reminders, transportation assistance, medical and mental care, mental health support, and better service connections to address underlying needs.
Let's wrap it up, AJ.
And instability that result in missed court dates, judges would have meaningful alternatives that both support public safety and increase court appearance rates without relying on the dichotomy of incarceration and mass supervision.
AJ, you need to wrap it
The decisions
up.
that these board makes and these budget hearings coming up will determine whether Sacramento is genuinely committing to reducing
Thank you, AJ. You're beyond your time.
simply expanding the systems that
AJ, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, well, that was a presentation. Thank you for the presentation, Eric. All right, next item.
Next item on our agenda is 55, boards to consider nominations. All right, first I would like to announce some continuances. Continuing to May 19th, 2026, we have the Adult and Aging Commission, the Antelope Community Planning Advisory Council, County Planning Commission, North Highlands Community Planning Advisory Council, Sheriff Community Review Commission, Sacramento County Treasury Oversight Committee, and Veterans Advisory Commission. Continued to June 9th, 2026, we have the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation Citizens Advisory Committee, the Carmichael Recreation and Park District, County Service Area 4B, Slough House, Wilton Casunas, County Service Area 4C, Delta, Public Financing Authority of the County of Sacramento Metro Air Park Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District. And continue to June 16th, 2026, we have the Assessment Appeals Board, Children's Coalition, Fair Oaks Community Planning Advisory Council, Health and Human Services Coordinating Council, Local Child Care Planning and Development Council. And on to today's nominations. First, we have the Arden Arcade Community Planning Advisory Council. There are 2 District 3 nominations.
Please reappoint Manaz Kazari and continue the remainder to June 9th.
Thank you. June 9th. Carmichael Community Planning Advisory Council is next. There is 1 District 3 nomination.
Please nominate Thomas McNairn.
Thank you. Next, we have the Cordova Community Planning Advisory Council. There are 3 District 5 nominations.
We'd like to continue those to May 19th, please.
Thank you. Next, we have the Disability Advisory Commission.
Chiefs recommend reappointing Yetta Nicole Brown and continue the remaining to May 19th.
Thank you. Next, we have the Equal Employment Opportunity Advisory Committee. There are 2 citizen member seats.
Please continue to May 19th.
Thank you. Next, we have the Foothill Farms Community Planning Advisory Council. There are 3 District 3 nominations.
Please nominate Michael Feliciano and continue the remainder to June 16th.
Thank you. Next, we have the Maternal, Child, and Adolescent Health Advisory Board. There are 13 seats.
Chiefs recommend reappointing Rebecca Lewis and Christina Newport. And Chiefs recommend nominating Jason Wong and Alyssa Gonzalez and continue the remaining to May 19th.
Thank you. Next, we have the Orangevale Community Planning Advisory Council. There are 6 District 4 nominations.
Please reappoint April Nordstrom and continue the remaining to May 19th.
Thank you very much. Sacramento County Behavioral Health Commission. There is 1 District 3 nomination.
Please nominate Hamadullah Hamidi.
Thank you. Sacramento County Behavioral Health Youth Advisory Board. There are 2 seats. First, 1 District 1 nomination.
Please continue to June 9th.
Thank you. And 1 District 4 nomination.
Please continue to May 19th.
Thank you. Next, we have the Sacramento County Commission on the Status of Women and Girls. There are 2 seats. First, there is 1 youth member seat and 1 District 4 nomination.
For the one for D4, continue to May 19th. And what was the other one?
Youth member seat.
Okay, I don't have info on that.
All right, probably continued.
Yep, May 19th.
May 19th as well. Thank you. And finally, we have the Sacramento County Youth Commission. There is 1 District 4 nomination.
Please continue to May 19th.
May 19th. And that concludes our nominations for today.
All right, next item, please.
Next item on the agenda is 56, County Executive Comments.
Thank you, Todd. Just to continue on the theme of recognizing and celebrating our team members, if I could ask Metro Cable to pull up a picture for me, that would be great. Last week, Mary Jo Flynn Nevins, our Chief of Emergency Services, was honored by the California Emergency Services Association with their Gold Award. The award recognizes individuals who have shown exceptional effort in emergency management, and this award recognized Mary Jo for her advocacy in addressing policy and funding challenges and impacting emergency management. The association mentioned her work on a test claim for unfunded mandates, our favorite thing to challenge with is unfunded mandates, and how she inspired other jurisdictions to pursue equitable reimbursement. So what Mary Jo did was start putting in test claims with the state and the federal government, and inspired other folks to follow that same path. This was not just done by Mary Jo and her team, but also Chad Rendy, our Director of Finance, also played a pivotal point in this and helping in those awards and plays a key factor on a statewide organization for submitting unfunded mandates. So just wanted to take a minute and congratulate not only Mary Jo, but Chad on their pioneering work and all the work from OES, our Office of Emergency Services, Department of Finance, and their work in emergency preparedness and their assistance that they provide Sacramento County residents. So thank you.
Okay, Supervisor Cerna?
We're on to the last item, I assume?
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to make note that this Saturday, May 16th, from 5 to 8 p.m. in our own Discovery Park, the American River Parkway Foundation is hosting again the American River Burger Battle, where 10 competing celebrity chefs will be offering attending members of the public samplings of their hamburgers. The attendees will be part of the judging. I believe there's also some celebrity, I finger quote, celebrity judges, including some of our local elected colleagues. I will be there. I will not be one of the judges. I will be there in my capacity playing drums with our band Handsome Devil, who's been recruited to play and offer music for the event. So especially for you, Madam Chair, I know you have the good practice of being at everything all the time. So if your busy calendar permits, I would expect to see you there. Thanks.
Todd, sorry I jumped the gun on that.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. We're on 57 supervisor comments.
Okay. I do have some. I just want to share May is an opportunity to recognize and celebrate the many cultures and communities that help shape Sacramento County, including the Asian American Pacific Island Heritage Month, Jewish American Heritage Month, Haitian Heritage Month, and National Military Appreciation Month. These communities continue to make a lasting impact through small businesses, healthcare, education, public service, the arts, and military service, helping strengthen the region. So thank you to the families, to the veterans, and community leaders for your contribution. I also want to share that it was truly an honor and very educational to be a part of the Water Forum 2050 signing celebration. I did not know much about it prior to yesterday, and so I want to thank the Department of Water Resources and our county staff for being a part of that. It really was a big deal to be a part of that. And then I also want to say, we track homeless deaths, and to date there are 45. That's, I think, quite a significant reduction from the from the numbers a year ago. And so I just think that is a very positive move. I also have a board request. Whether it's through an item here through the board or the topic for our retreat back later in October. We have so many boards and commissions, and lately there's been just a lot of possible improvements that we can make in some of these boards and commissions through maybe an opportunity to look at consolidating some of them or looking at the impact that they have, what was the intention from when they originated, and are they fulfilling that particular commitment. So is this something that this board is willing to consider? Yes? Yes? Okay, sounds like good. So, and we'll work with David on whether it is an item here or whether it is part of the board retreat in October. But I think that there is just an opportunity to really, we talked a lot about making improvements and efficiencies, and that is one area that I think would have a very positive impact overall. And that is it. We will now adjourn.
I just add, would you like to look at JPAs also, or just the boards and commissions?
JPAs and boards, commissions, yeah, all of those.
Thank you.
All right. There's nothing else. We will now adjourn at 1:08.